over the weekend, but they were chosen as one of 32 teams by the NIT yesterday. The Shockers received a number 6 seed, and they will play at number 3 seed Furman. It'll be a 6 o'clock tip-off on Wednesday in Greenville, South Carolina. Meanwhile, KU and K-State both got number 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Kansas will face Northeastern on Thursday, and the Wildcats will face UC Irvine on Thursday as well. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Riverside Cafe, whether it's the 2 Wichita locations or in Derby, is proud of their all-day breakfast. It's what's helped make Riverside Cafe famous. And now for you early birds, from 6 to 9, you can pick any 4 for just $4. Sausage link, hash browns, slice of bacon, 3 silver dollar pancakes, quarter biscuit with gravy, a sausage patty, slice of buttered toast, any 4, only $4. From 6 to 9 every morning. Pick 4 for $4 at Riverside Cafe, 9125 West Central and 13th and Benning in Wichita, and 824 North Baltimore in Derby.
Here's some simple math for you. Chevy cars and trucks just cost less at Countryside Motors in Wellington. You want the best price on a Silverado in Kansas or Oklahoma? Check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Are you looking for that perfect SUV? They have the great selection of Buick Enclaves, Envisions, and Encores, again, at the best prices anywhere. Countryside Motors in Wellington. Folks, it's simple math. For the best prices on cars and trucks, check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Simple math, best prices. Come on out to the country and save. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas.
Hi again, everybody. Tony White, Augusta Flight Center. Want to talk about our flight training packages. Private pilot packages starting at just $5,900. Now that'll get you 47 and a half hours in the aircraft, 2.5 hours on our flight training device, 45 hours of instruction, also a free headset and a free home study kit. For more information on this and other flight training options, visit our website at iflyaugusta.com, our Facebook page, or you can call us at 316-733-4080.
Soon, we will be hearing the chirping of birds and feeling the warm sunshine. Wouldn't it be nice if you were ready with a brand new deck from Burwell Construction? Now's the time to plan for spending time in your backyard, and Burwell Construction has done it all. From mini decks and small patios to outdoor eating areas with gazebos. To enjoy your backyard this spring and summer, the logical choice is Burwell Construction. Online at burwellconstruction.com.
If it's built well, it's Burwell. Burwell Construction.
If you're a contractor
or a do-it-yourselfer,
you owe it to yourself to shop Croft Lumber of Heston.
Of course there's lumber.
And there's roofing and siding.
And the renowned custom covered cabinets.
Drywall and insulation. Just price Croft Lumber of Heston.
Chances are, if you price Croft Lumber, you'll be done shopping.
And free delivery within 50 miles. Croft Lumber of Heston. 800-736-4951. 800-736-4951. Online at kropflumber.com.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
Funerals for the 50 people killed in the New Zealand mosque massacres are underway now, with the government there wasting no time to start changing its gun laws, apparently targeting some automatic weapons. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says the basis for new laws has been formed.
We have taken 72 hours. There is, though, still some detail that needs to be worked through. I want to do that, but still move as quickly as we can.
Meteorologist Pedram Javahari is monitoring flooding that has forced evacuations in parts of southeastern Iowa and Nebraska.
As a result of some milder spring-like temperatures, the flooding across some of these areas that had seen significant snowfall in recent weeks and recent months. And notice, not just the Midwest, but even down towards portions of the Mississippi River Valley, we're expecting flooding to take place.
That water moving downstream. On Wall Street, the Dow and S&P stock futures are now losing some ground. The Dow is off 60 points. The Nasdaq, however, is up about 4 points in pre-market trading ahead of the opening bell. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker, KQAM. For this morning, mostly sunny and 60, mostly cloudy and 41 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 58, rain likely mainly after lunch. 30% chance of rain for tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 37. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
At 6:06, it's currently 42 degrees.
Hi, this is Jimbo Hannon. Join me live weeknights at 9 right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
It's time for Reason.
That's why we are nationalists, because we believe our nation as a whole, as the melting pot or as the mosaic or as whatever else you want to call it, is greater than any other nation, which is why there are more people in the world that want to come to the United States than any other nation on the face of the earth. And that is why America accepts more people into its nation than any other nation on the face of the earth.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Monday, baby. Welcome into it. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker. 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV. We are rocking it on YouTube Live. Go to youtube.com. Find KQAM Radio. Don't know if you want to today, though. You can definitely tell that the sun was out bright this weekend and definitely got a little bit of a sunburn and got the the reverse raccoon eyes because, well, wearing the sunglasses and the hat and everything. Really, the half bottom part of the face is nice and like red, and then the top part is not. So we do have that rocking for us today. So welcome aboard, and great to have you along for the ride on a post St. Patrick's Day weekend. I hope everybody had a great one out at the parade, doing some fun stuff. And it was, I mean, you couldn't have asked for more beautiful weather out there for the parade and for all the great festivities going on with a great holiday that is St. Patrick's Day every single year. But it's a Monday, so let's go ahead and get you rolling. What do you say? Setting the tone not only for today, but for the whole week. We got a really big show for you today. I'm really excited with some guests, with some great conversation. Let's make it all happen, baby. Come on.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
There it is, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you today. What's on your mind? Coming up on the program today, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will be joining us live at 7:30. Get ready for that. I'm really excited to have him on the program. We've had him on once before, if some of you may have missed it, but he was on actually the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and I know it was a holiday. A lot of people kind of tuned out at that time, so we didn't get a chance to really replay it a whole lot. We did play it for our best of at the end of the year, but Mike Pompeo, U.S. Secretary of State, joined before. He'll be joining again live today as he is up in Kansas City, actually, speaking at an engagement. So we'll look forward to chatting with him live coming up in about an hour and a half from now. Don't miss that. It's going to be great. We may replay it at 8:30 as well in case you, different listening audience at drive time in the morning. So, but Mike Pompeo will be joining at 7:30 today. Outside of that, open lines to you at 316-721-8255 as there are a lot of stories to get to today. I don't know how much of it we'll get to. We'll try our darndest to do the best we can. But the big news nationally is really, there's a few couple interesting national stories. One of them, of course, Joe Biden leaks a little blurb that he may be running for president, and the Democrats get all kinds of giddy. Now, the reason they get all giddy is because even though the media is trying to get the establishment Democrats to warm up to someone like Bernie Sanders, they still don't like Bernie Sanders because they know he would lose devastatingly in a general election because he's a fringe socialist nut. Joe Biden, as much as he still believes in that mentality, kind of goes with the old school Democrat philosophy of going in slow motion, doing it by chipping away, not actually mentioning socialism, not doing it full force and very frontal and just very open about it. He doesn't do that sort of thing. So he's kind of the old guard, and he's the happy-go-lucky. Everybody loves Uncle Joe. He's kind of a great guy. So Joe Biden leaked that we are fighting for our souls. We are literally fighting a battle for the soul of America. And because of him leaking and talking about how important this race is, people now gaining the idea that he may jump in. I think he's playing it smartly, honestly, because he's going to jump into the race. Not one of the first ones. He's going to jump in last minute, kind of build up the hype, build up the anticipation, everybody excited and giddy about what he's going to do, and then he'll jump in and possibly run away with the nomination, which could be good, could be very bad for the Republicans. I don't really know. But Uncle Joe, the old guard, which the Democrats say they don't like the old guard, but the old guard with Joe Biden, they're really excited about that one. Then we have Beto O'Rourke. It's always funny. He always seems to be in the news for some reason, and I don't quite get it. But Beto O'Rourke came out and apparently made a gaffe. Now, again, come on. I'm not one to like to do the petty attacks. If you understand what you think they meant, then you just kind of roll with it. You don't attack them for really stupid, ridiculous comments. But he made the comment, apparently, according to PJmedia.com, O'Rourke was on the defensive most of the day, apologizing profusely for saying his wife, Amy, raised their 3 kids, quote, sometimes with my help. Now, it was a joke, and I'm not going to attack. I don't like those kind of attacks. Oh, he said mostly without his help. That means he didn't actually raise his kids. He's a terrible father. And then you go on the attack. I don't do those. That's silly. That's dumb. I don't understand why we need to. Let's focus on substance, shall we? We can beat them on substance. Beto O'Rourke is a terrible left-wing progressive who's not going to gain much support, and he's already divided himself because he's trying to win over a Bernie Sanders crowd, which when Bernie Sanders is running, you're just not going to make it happen. So good luck with that, but some media going after him for making a joke on the campaign trail. See, I would get in trouble. I really would. If I tried to run for office, I would make some kind of joke, some type of gaffe, because I'm a sarcastic kind of jerk that way, as you know, on the radio, which I do every single day, and I would get criticized for that and be like, oh, Andy said that he doesn't raise his kids. When he does, but, you know, it's a joke. It's a joke. So calm down. 316-721-825. That's the latest. Then we have another Democrat jumping into the race as well, and that's great. The field just gets bigger and bigger, which means that they're going to come out with probably not the best candidate because there's going to be too many of them dividing the numbers. So good luck with all that, and we'll just sit back and watch it all happen. Although Jeb Bush did come out over the weekend as well and say that we do need to try and primary challenge Donald Trump for the Republican side, which I know John Kasich's already working on. So, hey, all the power to you, Mr. Kasich. Yeah. And John Hickenlooper on the Democrat side. Now, I thought he was going to partner up with John Kasich and run for that, but apparently that's not happening. So good luck, John Hickenlooper. Good luck, John Kasich. Good luck, whatever. I don't know. Jeb Bush may try and jump in as well. Low energy Jeb. That would be fun. Have him try and challenge again, but him encouraging Republicans to jump into a primary race with President Donald Trump because we just hate President Donald Trump. So that's all happened over the weekend. It's kind of fun. Then we have, of course, the shooting that happened, unfortunately, down in New Zealand, and them trying to take firearms away, which is a really dumb idea. And you know what? I mentioned this last night. I was on the show with Mark Walters, Armed American Radio, at 9 p.m. last night, but I did make the comment of, isn't it great that we live in such an amazing country? New Zealand has a shooting, unfortunately, at a mosque, and individuals died, which is a sad, terrible thing. And what's their first response? The government comes out and says, you know what, we're going to ban AR-15s. We're going to ban semi-automatic rifles. We're going to ban guns because we don't like them and they caused a shooting and they're really bad. So therefore, we need to take away the tool that allowed that to happen. And they're not going to vote on it. They're just going to do it. Now, use that as an example of then what we do here in the country, in America. You have to have the checks and balance system. You have to have 3 branches of government go along with it. You have to try and get people to be on board with it, and that's not going to ever happen. And in fact, on the other side of the coin, we had the state of Missouri right now. I don't know if you saw the story over the weekend as well, but Missouri actually trying to make it mandated that every adult between the ages of 18 and 35 that's able-bodied and that can should and will have an AR-15 in the home. They're trying to forcefully put AR-15s in the home of individuals that are able-bodied in order to do so. Now, that could be good, that could be bad. I like the idea of saying you really should do this. On the other hand, if you're not trained and you're not comfortable with it, I don't want you to carry a firearm because the second part of the Second Amendment is that you need to be an educated firearm owner. You need to understand how to use the firearm. So I like the concept, but let's educate the kids and the individuals so that way they want to carry the firearm and we don't force them to do so. So your thoughts, and I may want to open it up to that at some point and get your thoughts on that gun deal because I like the idea of saying, hey, you know what? Like some other nations, it's mandatory to do a couple years in the military. It's mandatory to have a couple firearms in the home, and crime rates are really low, and we just understand how to use them, how to clean them, how to assemble them, how to disassemble them, and we understand the intricacies of a firearm. I don't know if you've seen those videos or not, they are crazy. Of those kids over in, was it Russia? Where they go in the line and that's their schooling. It's like the K through 12 education. They learn how to read, write, and then disassemble a gun. And one kid goes down and breaks down the gun. The next kid comes up to the table and reassembles it. The next kid goes and breaks it down. And they just rotate. It's crazy. So why don't we do something like that? But Missouri now trying to make it mandatory to have an AR-15 in the home, while we have New Zealand without the people's consent going around and trying to ban firearms. So kind of a different beast there. And aren't we so glad and happy and proud that we live in a country to where that could never happen? And if they do, try and come and take it with over the hundreds of millions of firearms in households all across the nation. So I am very proud about that. Plus, I do have a personal story that relates to that as well that we may talk about here in a little bit. But open lines to you, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. It was a great weekend, a lot of fun. Again, the St. Patrick's Day Parade was a fantastic time, a great turnout. I hope you got to make it out there and enjoy just a little bit. I got to enjoy the sweetness of the Proper 12 Irish whiskey just a little bit on Saturday night. And, yeah, it was a great time. Couldn't ask for a better weekend, so let's jump into it this week. It's going to be a fun one today. 316-721-8255. Line number 1, let's go to it here. Good morning. Who's this?
Jordan.
Hey, good morning, Jordan. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Good.
And I just wanted to say I think Missouri is wrong. It shouldn't be mandatory to own it, just like it shouldn't be mandatory to not have one. But I think everybody should go through a firearms safety course as part of their K-12.
Yeah, we should definitely educate individuals more on how to use it, how to properly handle it, how to clean it, that sort of thing. But it is a little weird with making it mandatory. If you want it, then you definitely shouldn't have any issues getting it. But at the same time, if you're uncomfortable with the firearm or you don't feel like using it or whatever, then you shouldn't have one if you're being forced to do so. I think that's taking it to another little extreme on the other side, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jordan. I appreciate that. You're right. I mean, I would love to see every household do it, but if you don't know how to use it or are not familiar with using it, then I don't want people that are untrained using a firearm doing really stupid things. So there's got to be that happy balance in there. I wish that we would make it here. I guess here we can put it this way: if you're going to make it mandatory, then it needs to be mandatory for you to go through the military, to go through the training, and understand how to use it, and then have the firearm there. So even if you don't want to use it, at least you know how to. So before we implement a law saying that we must have an AR-15 in everybody's home, then you have to, before that, be mandated to actually go through the military and actually have some sort of training and actually have some sort of courses, and all this has to be mandatory as well, which none of that's going to happen. So, to make it mandatory for a firearm in the home, at least even an AR-15 is a little crazy, at least I think. So taking it to the extreme, I like the concept. I like where the thoughts are. At least we're moving in the right direction, but maybe just a little bit too far on that front. All right, got to take a break. 20 minutes past the hour. We have a lot of statewide issues to get to today. There's a education bill that did move forward in the Senate that Governor Laura Kelly is praising. I don't know if that's good or not.
Winning.
Then we have the bill to try and repeal voter ID laws in Kansas for registration to vote. I know. So we have that, along with some other goodies as well here from the state of Kansas and federally. Big stuff going on today. Again, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joining the program in just an hour from now, right here on The Voice Reason for a Monday morning.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hi, everybody. It's the Mid-America Ag Network Ag Business Report with a couple of special guests today. Conlon Kennedy's with me. He's the specialist in communications for a company that many of you have heard of, but some of you probably have not. It's called NextEra Energy Resources. And friends, tell me about NextEra, Conlon. What are you doing?
Hey, Larry. Yeah, so NextEra Energy Resources, we are the world's largest generator of renewable energy from the wind and the sun. We operate more than 14,000 megawatts of wind energy from more than 9,500 wind turbines across 120 projects in 21 states and Canada.
And you're building a pretty big unit right here in the midst of Kansas. The guy that's kind of the manager of that whole project at Pretty Prairie, Kansas, is Spencer Jenkins. He's with us, too. Spencer, how's it going? Are you folks getting started there?
We have not started yet, but things are going really well, Larry. We have a permit hearing on April 4th. We are very excited, and as well as our landowners and a lot of business owners in the area.
Tell me about about the landowners? They're pretty excited about this because it's a pretty nice operation for money for them.
It is, and the project itself is compatible with agricultural land use, has little impact on existing farming operation. So over the life of the project, this project will actually contribute $50 million to the local landowners through our land payment.
Wow, and the community will benefit big time from that as well.
Absolutely. We will have a positive impact on the local county economy by driving jobs, salaries, and business activities in the community.
Well, Spencer, the Pretty Prairie project, where does it stand right now?
So we are just about wrapped up with our land effort. We have our permit hearing on April 4th, hoping to start construction in mid-June. We are very excited, as well as our landowners and local business owners in the area.
I would think so. Great deal for Reno County and the Pretty Prairie area.
That, of course, is Larry Steckline reporting very good news for Kansas and Reno County specifically. Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network.
Debt is dumb. Dave Ramsey tells you why.
The borrower is slave to the lender. It doesn't say accept airline miles. The borrower is slave to the lender. It doesn't say accept Discover points. The borrower is slave to the lender. It doesn't say accept I got 0% interest on my new car, which lost $7,000 when I drove it off the lot, so it's not really 0%, is it? You're going to hand me a nickel in front of me while you're picking a $100 bill out of my back pocket and call me smart.
Live 2 to 5 on KQAM. Brought to you in part by Unique Feet.
Myers Exterior Products.
I can feel that cold, windy old man winter blowing through my rotten windows. I can't go through another winter with these windows. Might as well move outside with this much cold air coming through my house.
Old windows can let out 10 to 25% of your heat during the winter. Call Doug at Myers Exterior Products to get your new energy-efficient windows installed today. Myers Exterior Products, the outside experts.
Call 944-1024. Call 944-1024.
Joe and the guys at Carl's Goodyear, well, they are nice guys. That's the only way to describe them. Need new tires? Got you covered. Flat tire fixed? Done. Tune-up? Oil change? Brakes? Exhaust? Radiator? You get the idea. They do almost everything for your vehicle. They will also give you a ride when your car is in the shop. Nice guys who know auto repair, but above that, they know people and treat them like they would want to be treated. Carl's Goodyear, right on the corner of Market and Waterman, 264-5385.
For nearly 2 decades, NextEra Energy Resources has proudly partnered with Kansas to fuel economic growth. Yes, friends, today that company's looking to continue that growth by developing a new wind energy center in Reno County. Hey, I've personally met many folks at NextEra. They're good people. Company's doing a lot of good in our state. The Pretty Prairie Wind Energy Center will contribute millions of dollars to Reno County and create hundreds of good-paying jobs. Wind energy, you know, is very compatible with farming, and the Pretty Prairie Wind Energy Center will add great value to the community. The Pretty Prairie Wind Energy Center represents an opportunity to harness the natural American wind resource, improve local roads, schools, and help residents provide for their families. Folks, the Pretty Prairie Wind Energy Center means a big investment in Reno County and a big boost to the local economy.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Join me live today at 5. Now back to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
.25 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you for the ride this morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard. It is nice to actually have not cold weather in the morning, which I enjoy, which helps you wake up. Also, this program, waking you up better each and every morning. Welcome in 316-721-8255. I'm glad that we heard a lot about this whole wind energy farm out in Pretty Prairie. I want to bring it up. I want to talk about it in the third hour today. A lot of heated discussion going on there. There's a Facebook page actually right now. Stop the Pretty Prairie Wind Farm. And I want to understand why. The public hearing coming up in April as well to talk about some of the wind farms here. But I want to understand why people are not a big advocate for this whole wind energy deal. I think it's a great thing. I don't understand why we want to block it. Then we see the government regulations, or the government actually tries to put in place for regulation for the wind farms and for the solar panels. We've talked about it many times with the energy companies, how they want to actually punish people for putting their solar panels either on their homes or on their business, which is a little strange to me. So I don't quite understand what the anger is or the hatred against these things. And then you hear about the hum of people saying that we can't have it within certain amount of feet or miles or whatever from different homes. And I don't get it. It's a windmill. It's not that big of a deal. And it doesn't harm anything other than the few birds that just like run right into it, which they're not very bright anyway. So there you go. You got dinner for the night anyways too. But so we will talk about the Pretty Prairie Wind Farm coming up here as well, but there is a big movement right now to try and stop it, and I just don't understand why. We'll get to that probably in hour number 3 of the program. 316-721-8255. The gaffes are really big on Drudge Report. They're really showing the Democrats making hooplas and different mistakes, which is really kind of funny. At the same time, it's not what we need to be focused on here. As we mentioned, conservatism wins when we address the serious issues. And while we try and actually talk about what socialism is and the definition of socialism, while we try and talk about big government and really high taxes, there's a story I want to get to after the bottom of the hour that talks about how the majority of Americans are not saving any money since the Trump tax cuts. Really? Really? That's what we're concerned about? The fact that we're not saving money because of the Trump tax cuts. So we'll digress and actually break it down for the slower part of the crowd here, the progressive end, and tell them why and make them understand why that we're not actually saving any money. So we'll do that. Plus, millennials say that life is more stressful now than ever before. It's very stressful. Very stressful time for the millennials. As you know, before we actually had to fight wars and we had to worry about living or dying, and we had to fight bad idealisms like socialism, where it was trying to take over the world and trying to kill people, and genocide was going on and tyranny was happening, and there was starvation and there was poor, like real poverty, not the poverty where you have like 5 TVs and you have an Obama phone, but real poverty where you are living on the street and trying to find food from rats running around the streets. That kind of poverty. But, life is more stressful than ever before. I don't know how we actually go to work and do a 9-to-5 job. I don't know how we actually try and blend in our yoga sessions at the same time that we, have to do our adult coloring books because we're really triggered by something, where we have to deal with people's cisgender identification, where they actually say that they are a male because of male body parts and a female because of female body parts, where we have to live in a society that has to deal with that type of bigotry and close-minded jerkishness. Yeah, life is very stressful. Again, I apologize for my generation. I'm very sorry. It's very sad, and they're very dumb. Bottom of the hour news coming up when we come back. Why are you saving any money? Here's the question. Are you saving money because of the Trump tax cuts, or do you still not have a savings because Trump just, destroyed your welfare and your finances? I'd love to hear from you. Bottom of the hour news coming up. This is The Voice of Reason.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
As police in New Zealand say they now believe the admitted gunman in the New Zealand mosque massacres was the only shooter, the government of Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is pushing rapidly for new gun control measures. She says her cabinet has agreed on principles and will have a plan ready in about a week.
There's simply details to work through. These aren't simple areas of law. And so that's simply what we'll be taking the time to get right.
Police in the central Dutch city of Utrecht say they are investigating a shooting in a tram this morning that has left multiple people injured, and they are considering the possibility of what they call a terrorist motive. There have been no reports of any suspects under arrest. 2 people dead in Nebraska as flooding continues there, and in several other Midwestern states, melting snowfall now swelling rivers down into the Mississippi River Valley. Flash floods and mudslides triggered by rain have torn through mountainside villages in eastern Indonesia, killing at least 79 people and leaving dozens injured. The Dow down 51 points in pre-market trading. I'm Michael Toscano.
Together, we can turn a stairwell into an ER at a moment's notice. Together, we can turn a rescue ship for refugees into a maternity ward. Together, we can vaccinate 710,000 people in just 11 days. Together, we are Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders goes where others don't to provide life-saving medical care. Learn more at doctorswithoutborders.org.
Your daughter's a genius, and with all those smarts comes a lot of travel. So you're at Hampton by Hilton for a science fair in Springfield. Last month she was a mathlete in Martindale. Next she'll be a robot whiz in Riverside. She fuels up on free Hampton waffles. You fuel up on coffee. With 6 hours of applied biology ahead of you, you need all your synapses firing. Proud parent of a prodigy? That's why we're here with free hot breakfast and more than 2,400 locations. Book at Hampton.com for our price match guarantee. Hampton by Hilton. Terms and conditions apply.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Monday. An appeals court will consider the constitutionality of a struck-down Kansas statute that had required people to provide documents proving U.S. citizenship before they could register to vote. A 3-judge panel of the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals will hear arguments today in Salt Lake City in a case with national implications for voting rights. At issue is a challenge to a voter registration statute requiring people to provide documentary proof of citizenship, such as a birth certificate. The Kansas Department of Transportation says an employee who called the president a delusional communist in a tweet is no longer employed with the agency. KDOT's statement said that the tweet has been deleted. The person who made it no longer works for the Kansas Department of Transportation, and the communication does not reflect the views of the agency or administration. Mid-America Network News.
Don't miss more ways to save on a new Bobcat compact track loader at White Star Machinery. Choose a cash rebate up to $10,000 or take advantage of 0% financing for 60 months with no payments for 90 days with approved credit. Put built tough priced right Bobcat equipment to work and get peace of mind with our 2-year, $2,000 full warranty. Why wait? Start saving today. Check it out on our website, whitestarmachinery.com.
White Star, get the job done.
Still on the fence about what seed varieties to plant this year? Star Seed has many varieties of forage and spring cover mixes that will produce the best results in your fields. Need alfalfa and oats? We have that too. Give us a call today to pre-book your spring seed products. No bag fees, no delivery fees, no kidding. We are Star Seed, and we deliver premium quality seed to our dealers whenever and wherever you need. Call us today at 800-782-7311 or visit our website at gostarseed.com.
Autocraft is proud to call Wichita home for 40 years. We are local and family owned. We believe using locally owned businesses is important to maintaining a healthy community. Local faces being there for you long after the job is done. Autocraft uses local suppliers whenever possible. Eco-friendly products, giving back to local charities, putting that extra smile on someone's face. Autocraft invites you to join us to keep it local. So let's work together to grow a strong and healthy community. Be sure to visit us at autocraftinc.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, mostly sunny and 60, mostly cloudy and 41 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 58, rain likely mainly after lunch. 30% chance of rain for tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 37. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:35, it's currently 40 degrees.
Catch the latest news with Stephanie Austin right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier, your personal political therapist. Give him a call at 721-TALK.
We kind of are political therapists, aren't we? That's kind of what we do. We're venting. We allow you to vent. We touch on all the issues that trigger you each and every morning. That's why we get so many calls of people fired up, ready to go. The delay button is ready. at beck and call. Hopefully we don't have to use it, though. Hopefully not. Welcome in 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Great to have you along for the ride this morning on a Monday, starting off your morning each and every day right. The best way, right as in to the right or right as in correct, whatever you want to look at it. You can interpret it any way you want to. You can interpret pretty much anything we say except for our gender, which we are usually about 98% sure of our gender identification on a daily basis. First off, let's get into a Kansas update, shall we?
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
We have a few things to get to here, and there's drama in our state legislature, or at least in the state of Kansas, which I don't know why we allow this. I hope some individuals have been fired from this, but we'll talk about the tweet that happened from the Kansas Department of Transportation's Twitter account in just a moment. But as of last week, there was a bill for education funding. Now, I've told you that I do not want to see a single penny more go into education. Period, zero, zilch, nada. I don't want to see it. We've sunk in way too much money in education. We need to have extreme accountability at the local level with the local school districts, and that's what we need to focus on. That's it. We don't need to throw more money at it. And I would be very upset if we do, because enough is enough. If you give them another inch, they will take another mile. They will still complain it's not enough. I mean, you saw Governor Laura Kelly present a bill saying that we need $90 million into the into the education funds. The Schools for Fair funding came back, said they didn't want that. They actually wanted $390 million, not just $90 million, but $390 million. So now they're upset that we're not getting enough. So we still hold on to a $90 million bill, and it passes 32-8 in the U.S. or in the state Senate as of last week to move it on to the House of Representatives. Governor Laura Kelly praises the Kansas Senate on Friday for passage of legislation allocating $90 million a year to the state's public school system in an attempt to comply with the court order to cover inflationary costs occurring in districts. Last year, now remember, last year we adopted a $525 million budget that increased for 5 years, so about $100 million a year for the next 5 years. The year before that, we did $1 billion. That was the largest tax increase in state history with the $1.2 billion tax increase. All of that going towards education. All of it. It didn't get split up and divided. All of it. $1.2 billion. Just 2 years ago, we sunk into education over a 5 or 6 or 10 year span, whatever. So it was like $100, $200, $300 million a year that was increasing every single year, above and beyond every single year. Why? Because all of that money went towards it and allotted towards it for the next few years. Then we see the 525. So you do realize that over the last, let's say, 3 years, we've already increased education spending by about $1.7 billion. Almost $2 billion in education. Now tell me how that's not insane and stupid. 1.7, 1.8, 1.6, whatever billion dollars. Well, let's just round down to a $1.5 billion. Still. Now that's incremental over the next few years. Every year it just automatically increases. Automatically goes up. We've already set that money aside. It's already up there. Now you're saying that we don't have enough, and you're saying that it's based on inflation. Now, we've already increased it like 300, 400, 500 times above inflationary rates, but it doesn't matter. We need to do inflation rates, so therefore we need $90 million. So it passed with an overwhelming majority, 32-8 in the Senate. Now, this is very frustrating to me because when we hear Senate President Susan Wagle come out and say that we don't want to spend another dollar in it, let's throw it into a constitutional crisis. Let's actually figure this out this year so that way we don't have to figure it out any other year later. We don't have to worry about it down the road. Let's just do it. Let's figure this sucker out. We hear that talk, which makes me very happy. Then we see a vote like this, 32-8, where it goes through. If you give them money, they're just going to say it's not enough. It's time for us to be the adults. It's time for us to grow up. And it's time for us to say, zero, zilch, no more. We cannot do a single penny more. It's not going to happen. So I really hope the Senate already passed this. Governor Laura Kelly praised it. I really hope that we have a House that sits back and says, no, we're not doing it. We don't need some more money. We don't need any more money. We're not going to do it. And they voted. I really hope they vote this down. and then we can go back to the drawing board and we can figure it out. And, we're getting close to the end of the legislative session, and what are we going to do? We're going to be thrown into a constitutional crisis, and they're going to shut down the school. When that's not going to be the case, but they're going to threaten it. But you know what? Threaten it. Let's throw it into this crisis, quote unquote. Let's figure it out, and let's draw the line and say you will not receive another dollar from us. You've received $1.7 billion in the last 3 years from us. That's automatically increasing for the next 5 years. You have plenty of money. Don't you worry. We're increasing it at a faster rate than inflation. I think you're going to be okay. We need to get Christy Williams on the program from the Augusta area, as she is the head of the education committee in the House of Representatives. We haven't had her on as of this year, so we need to get her on the program, see what her thoughts are. I really hope we can come out with a reasonable bill that does not include funding for education any more than what we already have allotted. Because I'm sick. Look, I ask it to you. I open up to you. If we do pass it with more money, when do you say enough is enough? Is this going to affect maybe elections of Republicans? Are we going to come back to Republicans and say, hey, look, senators that voted for education funding, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? We're still giving a lot of heat to them for voting for the largest tax increase in state history. And I'll tell you, one of them right now, Senator Dan Kirshen, I know that is a great guy. At the same time, he voted for this, and a lot of people still not very happy about it. Those types of things have long track records. We have a long memory because we are Republicans. We are the elephant. We do have that long history, that long memory. And we're not going to allow them to continue to raise taxes, raise spending, and then come back as Republicans and as conservatives and say this is what we need to do, and please reelect me again. No, not going to happen anymore. We're drawing the line. And I'm concerned that if we continue to allow bad things to happen with a Republican-led majority, then bad things are going to happen to the Republican Party. And we're not going to, there are going to be some very upset individuals that will no longer vote Republican, or will be voting for a primary challenger. We need conservatives that are not afraid to say that we will throw it into whatever crisis we need to, because we're drawing the line and you cannot abuse us any longer. We have to have that. So I really hope, and here's my encouragement to the House of Representatives, do not pass this bill. Do not pass this bill, because this is a very bad bill, and we don't need $90 million more. And that would only add to what? $1.8 billion over the next few years. Why not? $1.8 billion. Why not just go $2 billion? We could just say an even $2 billion. We'll just increase it there. We already have, $4, $5, $6 billion already in the system, about $14,000 per head for student. And there you go. We got plenty of money. No, we need more. Nope. We don't want $90 million. We want $390 million. Good golly, 316-721-8255. So over the weekend, we did get to enjoy the Second Amendment discussion. I got to I got to join Mark Walters on his program last night at 9 p.m. I don't know if you got to hear it or not. If not, you can go back to his podcast at armedamericanradio.org. But he was talking about New Zealand and was talking about some of the laws down there, and why people listen to the media is now reporting the Twitter accounts of some quote-unquote experts down in New Zealand saying that banning firearms is a very good thing. Now, I'm going to ask you this, because here is a story here on the other flip of the coin, was that as we look at trying to ban firearms in certain areas, and the Democrats still obviously very happy about trying to ban firearms, here's the big question. Law enforcement, would they enforce gun bans if they were put into place? Now, luckily, we don't have to worry about that too much here in Kansas as of right now. We need to stay top of mind to make sure it doesn't happen. But let's say in other states, remember what was that, Deerfield, Illinois, I believe, where they tried to ban the AR-15s, any semi-automatic rifle. They said that you get penalized, punished, you get fined if you actually had it. They come and confiscate your gun. They tried this. Didn't work very well. They actually got shot down in court, and now you can still own your firearm there in Deerfield, Illinois, but they tried it. But the question is, if we do try to implement gun laws in certain areas, will local law enforcement, remember, law enforcement has to deal with the community. They live in the community. They're representing part of the community. And if there are really high crime rates in certain areas, don't they like firearms there to have people have self-defense? They'd rather go to a place where there was a break-in and the bad guy be down rather than have to go and chase a bad guy. Most of the time you would think that law enforcement would be open to actually having firearms, and for them having been trained with firearms. I don't know. I'm not a law enforcement guy. I've never been a cop, but I would assume that many law enforcement enjoy the fact that many people can hold their own if something happens, so that way they're not going to a scene where there are innocent people dead on the ground, because they're not going to get there in time to stop it. They're going to be there to clean up the mess at the end of the day. And from what I've heard, many law enforcement actually enjoy the firearm. So if there are communities that are actually enforcing gun control laws, gun bans, do law enforcement actually enjoy enforcing those, or will they enforce those? According to the Pacific Standard, what happened to sheriffs who refused to enforce state gun control laws? Second Amendment sanctuary cities are coming to liberal states, and law enforcement not liking that too much. But it is on March 8th, just a few days ago, New Mexico governor signed a bill that effectively, as of July, closes a federal loophole exempting unlicensed vendors and gun shows from a law requiring that all licensed armed dealers conduct background checks on potential buyers. A law brings New Mexico into the ranks of 20 other states and Washington, D.C., all of which have passed similar pieces of legislation requiring expansion of criminal background checks on handgun sales in recent months. But even before gun safety advocates cheered the new minted law on Friday, a majority of New Mexico sheriffs and county commissioners have been brainstorming ways to torpedo the legislation, which claims they infringe upon the constitutional rights of the state citizens, and law enforcement saying that they just will not enforce the rule. Now, if you look at rules from law enforcement, they really have laws that they could enforce on all of us at any time they want to. They could pull us over on the side of the road for anything, really. For the way we're driving, for being 1 or 2 mile an hour over or under, for having a taillight a little funky, by the car not having proper emissions. I mean, they could really pull us over for any reason that they wanted to, but they only look at the priorities. And as I've mentioned many times before, we need to focus on the priorities. Not necessarily the fact that someone's going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, but that someone may have drugs in the back seat trying to transport them. Or that someone may be trying to, do human trafficking. Or that there are bad guys on the streets trying to break into stores and stuff. That's kind of priority to me, not a traffic violation because you were 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. But if you had a firearm and the government didn't like you having that firearm, would you as a law enforcement, I'd love to hear someone from law enforcement, either current or retired, on if you would be okay with ignoring gun laws. Because, hey, you know what? We don't agree with them. We have more priorities to deal with, like, bad guys out there doing bad things, instead of people having a firearm. I'd be really interested on that. I don't know. 316-721-8255. Let's take a break. 12 minutes to the top of the hour. I want to focus on this. Do you think that law enforcement should ignore some gun laws because it's not right and a violation of the Constitution? Or do they just get their marching orders and we just go about our day? Be very interesting to get your thoughts on that when we come back. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. It was a good day on Friday for our ag futures markets. We saw positives for the grains and soybeans and positives, big positives, for the livestock complex. Let's take a look at the numbers. Kansas City wheat finished very well. May KC wheat up 6.5 at 443. July Kansas City wheat was up 6 3/4 at 451 3/4. May corn up 373 1/4. July corn up 2 3/4 at 382 1/4. Soybeans did very well. May beans up 10 3/4 at 909 1/4. July beans up 10 3/4 at 923. Each of the later months was solidly higher. Now the products were mixed. Meal did well. Bean oil did not. May soybean meal was at 310.80 up 490. July bean meal was at 314.50 up 480. Each of the later months up similar amounts. Bean oil, as we pointed out, didn't fare so well. May bean oil at 29.43 down 14 points. July was down 15 points at 29.74. But the beans themselves, a big day, as it was for corn and Kansas City wheat. Livestock did quite nicely also. April live cattle up 170 at 129.10. June up 157 at 121.92. Later months were all positive. April feeder cattle up 227 at 146.92. May up 210 at 148.45. Big positives all the way down there. Hogs had a heyday. April hogs limit higher up $3 at 68.80. May hogs limit higher up $3 at 77.90. In fact, each of the later months also limit up in hogs. So a very strong day for the livestock complex, particularly hogs. Cotton had a heyday on Friday as well. May cotton was up 120 at 75.50. July cotton finished the day up 115 at 76.60. So a very strong day for cotton as we finished up on Friday. Crude oil was down a bit. April crude late in the afternoon down 21 cents at 58.40. But all in all, the ag futures did well on Friday. Market update, Mid-America Ag Network. Well, it's finally beginning to warm up across Mid-America, and you've got a lot on your mind this time of the year. One of the things you shouldn't have to worry about is whether or not your seed will survive the weather. That's where we can help. Join me, Craig Mead, for Mid-America Ag Network's Soil Temperature Reports, twice daily, brought to you by Abilene Machine and Kansas Corn. You know you can't afford to plant that seed too early or too late. Soil Temperature Reports twice daily, right here on Mid-America Ag Network, brought to you by Abilene Machine and by Kansas Corn.
Riverside Cafe is more than just great comfort foods. Riverside Cafe has amazing fresh salads, daily hand-breaded fresh catfish, and chicken strips. Burgers.
Burger.
The best in the business, and even veggie burgers for the healthy eaters. Riverside Cafe, breakfast all day, every day, daily specials, homemade hand-cut fries, fried chicken Fridays, and kids eat free Monday through Friday when each child accompanies a paying adult. Riverside Cafe, open till 8 Monday through Saturday, open till 2 Sunday afternoons, 2 Wichita locations, and 824 North Baltimore in Derby.
Hi ladies, it's Tiffany talking about my all-time favorite home decorating source, Jabara's Flooring Outlet. You've heard of Jabara's Flooring for years. They have the largest selection of carpet, tile, wood, and all your favorite floor coverings in the state. So what's new for 2019? Stop by Jabara's this month during their Live in Style Customer Appreciation Month and find out. Take it from me, ladies, a real shopper, someone who loves a great deal and super quality. See Jabara's for your new floors. Like they say, the smartest shoppers shop Jabara's. 17th and North Broadway, Wichita.
Consumers of bed mattresses have become gun-shy. You've got your big box stores with their sales of the century, and then the salespeople with their dancing animals targeting consumers harder than someone with an IRS refund check on a used car lot. Not the case at Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks, no commissions. Derby Mattress is locally owned. Sharon and Jared are there daily to meet your needs and exceed your expectations. Derby Mattress.
This is Phil Martinez from Phil's Coins. It's sad when it happens, but there are still businesses out there that will try the old bait and switch. They'll promise you one thing to get you in and then deliver far less, or something totally different once you're there. At Phil's Coins, when we say we buy, sell, and trade with honesty and integrity, that's exactly what we mean. In fact, I encourage you to shop the competition first. It will make doing business with Phil's Coins like a walk in the park. Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central.
Join me for Armed American Radio live Sunday at 7 right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Welcome in. Wrapping up hour number 1. It is still really dark outside. Can we see the sun come up, please? Get us going for the day. Speaking of, by the way, the Second Amendment that we did in the last segment, we are seeing some interesting legislation in Topeka, positive and negative, coming out, and see where any of this goes. Now, I don't see us going backwards on any of our Second Amendment talks, but we did have Jim Ward, the precious progressive here from the Wichita area, proposed the red flag laws here in Kansas, which are very silly and ridiculous, and why we'd actually advocate for that at all, I'm not quite sure. So that was going on. On the same front, though, we do still have the bill floating out there about trying to end the ban from rental units and apartments to say that you're not allowed to have firearms in your... Just think about that. You try and rent an apartment, and you're not allowed to have a firearm there in case someone breaks in. Does that make sense at all? I don't get that one. We're trying to repeal that, which would be a very good thing to do as we try and advance the Second Amendment a little bit more here in Kansas, and the fact that you can't even have it if you're renting an apartment or a house even, or if you live in an apartment complex and you can't have a firearm. No, I get it. You know, the wall's very thin in apartment complexes. Things could happen. So I get that. That's why you need to be, what's that word? Oh, yeah, a responsible gun owner. So that is still floating around there. Neither of them showing any traction one way or another. I mentioned that this year I think it was going to be one of those stagnant years where we're not going to see any growth and movement for the Second Amendment, but we're not going to go backwards at all because we still have a strong, solid conservative legislature in both chambers for the most part. I don't know. We just passed a $90 million education funding bill in the Senate with a nice big majority of 32-8. So there is a concern there, but hopefully we don't see anything last minute try and sneak its way through when it comes to the Second Amendment, because Governor Laura Kelly would not be a big fan of the Second Amendment if she had a say in it at all, which is a little concerning. Speaking of, I want to talk a little bit about the process of buying a gun, because it's kind of interesting, and Mrs. Voice of Reason and I did get one over the weekend. I was really excited about it. It's a beautiful thing. We'll have to post a picture, I think, at some point. It's a beautiful firearm. But the process, the background check process, the process to get it was actually very simple, but they're really weird about where the money comes from, because we put it under one of our names, but then if it was cash when we purchased it, it had to be from that person, and we couldn't hand it to our significant other to hand to the register. So it was very strange how we had a gift card to make the gift card in order to give it to them, and then they could purchase it that way. So it was very strange. But the background check process was obviously didn't come back with anything, and hoorah on that one. And, the safety of individuals is extremely important. So, hey, you know what? Now we have it's a beautiful gun, 6-hour, 45 caliber, P320. It's a beautiful thing. But really excited about that. I can't wait to get it on the range and use a little bit. But the process of it was actually relatively simple and easy, just except for the paying of it was just very strange to me. I've never heard anything like that. So the progressives still losing their minds trying to say, well, you know what? He's probably one of those angry, hateful conservatives and will do something stupid with it, so he's probably shouldn't be allowed to use it or have it or anything. And I'm surprised that flag didn't come up because, well, that would be dumb. But, hey, it's the government. What do you expect? The process needs to be a very simple, easy process, but sometimes that's just not the case. So it was fun. It was a great weekend. I think that was an addition to the St. Patrick's Day celebration as well. So, hey, there you go. All around just a great time. And I don't know. It was really easy for the background check, as I mentioned, but buying it, just having to do the cash transaction was just very strange to me. I don't know why, even as a married significant other, does that mean, like, if you have to use it, one person that it's actually registered under as opposed to the spouse? I don't know. Very strange. Really strange rules on that one. But, you know what? Those are firearm laws for you. Top of the hour news coming up for you. When we come back, we have some more legislative stuff to talk about. We have the drama that went on with the Twitter account for one of our Kansas departments here in the state. Jerry Moran voting for that bill last week, trying to block Donald Trump. I do want to cover that because we didn't get a chance to do it on Friday very well. Is that going to affect Jerry Moran's re-election coming up in a couple of years? All that and more. It is a Monday, baby. We got a lot to get to. Plus, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joining in about a half hour from now, right here on The Voice of Reason Live. Don't miss it.
Coming spring 2019.
Hail.
Ouch. Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
Myers Exterior Products.
I can feel that cold, windy old man winter blowing through my rotten windows. I can't go through another winter with these windows. Might as well move outside with this much cold air coming through my house.
Old windows can let out 10 to 25% of your heat during the winter. Call Doug at Myers Exterior Products to get your new energy-efficient windows installed today. Myers Exterior Products, the outside experts.
Call 944-1024. Call 944-1024.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
Good Monday morning. Police are investigating after an officer shot a dog last night in northeast Wichita. Authorities say the incident happened around 6 o'clock outside a residence in the 2100 block of North Erie. KWCH-TV reports police say 2 officers were finishing up a call in the area when they saw a large breed dog on the loose, and officers tried to let the dog pass, but it attacked one of them as they were getting in their vehicle. The dog was taken to the emergency vet center for treatment after being shot. Neither of the officers were harmed in the incident. Authorities say 2 pedestrians were struck by a vehicle Saturday night in Wichita. That accident happened around 10 o'clock in the 1700 block of West Douglas near the Shamrock Lounge. On-scene officers say a middle-aged man and woman were attempting to cross the street when they were struck by a vehicle. Cake TV reports the 2 were transported to the hospital in critical condition but have since been upgraded to stable. No names were immediately released. The death of an inmate at the Sedgwick County Detention Facility may have been a self-inflicted asphyxiation, according to officials. The inmate was found unresponsive in his cell Friday night at about 20 minutes before 7 o'clock, and the man was pronounced deceased at 7:16 after being treated by emergency medical services. The decedent was taken to the Sedgwick County Coroner's Office to determine the exact cause of death. This was the first in-custody death at the Sedgwick County Detention Facility of 2019. KSN-TV reports since 2016 there have been 143 suicide attempts in the Sedgwick County Jail. It took us until St. Patrick's Day, but we finally got a spring-like weather weekend, and forecasters say rain chances are showing up this week. However, our spring-like temperatures will hold out this week in the 50s and 60s. From the KQAM KGSO newsroom, I'm Rick Everett. Now to the sports desk and Doug Downs.
The Wichita State Shocker basketball team will play in a postseason tournament. Yesterday, they were invited to the NIT. The Shockers will be the 6th seed, and they will play at number 3 seed Furman. It will be a 6 o'clock tip-off on Wednesday in Greenville, South Carolina. Kansas and Kansas State, both 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Both will play on Thursday. Over the weekend, the Wichita State baseball team split with Rhode Island in a 4-game series. The Shockers won Friday and again yesterday. They lost both games on Saturday. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Right now, it still gets cold and it's hard to keep things hot. Pretty soon, though, it'll be hot and hard to keep things cold. Be ready with the latest from Yeti at Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays. When you want the best in temperature control, one name stands above the rest. And when it comes to Yeti, Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays has you covered. From mugs to jugs, coolers to flips, backpacks, and more. Pride Ag Ace Hardware is your Yeti store. The store that takes pride in serving you. Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
Scott Child's Old Time Clock Shop, 1946 West 13th Street in the heart of Riverside. It's not just a name of a shop. Scott Child started the shop back in 1974. He has perhaps the best inventory of all kinds of clocks that he's ever had in his business. That means great selection for you. If you've never checked it out, you owe it to yourself. Scott Child's Old Time Clock Shop.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
As police in New Zealand say they now believe the admitted gunman in the New Zealand mosque massacres was the only shooter, the government of Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is pushing rapidly for new gun control measures. She says her cabinet has agreed on principles and will have a plan ready in about a week.
There's simply details to work through. These aren't simple areas of law. And so that's simply what we'll be taking the time to get right.
Police in the central Dutch city of Utrecht say they are investigating a shooting in a tram this morning that has left multiple people injured, and they are considering the possibility of what they call a terrorist motive. There have been no reports of any suspects under arrest. 2 people dead in Nebraska as flooding continues there, and in several other Midwestern states, melting snowfall now swelling rivers down into the Mississippi River Valley. Flash floods and mudslides triggered by rain have torn through mountainside villages in eastern Indonesia, killing at least 79 people and leaving dozens injured. The Dow down 51 points in pre-market trading. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Hatman Jacks. Amazing headwear for women and men. At the Clock Tower in Delano, Hatman Jacks.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, mostly sunny and 60, mostly cloudy and 41 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 58, rain likely mainly after lunch. 30% chance of rain for tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 37. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:06, it's currently 40 degrees.
Join me for the Dana Show here on the Big Talker, KQAM 1480 AM and 102.5 FM.
It's time for Reason.
That's why we are nationalists, because we believe our nation as a whole, as the melting pot or as the mosaic or as whatever else you want to call it, is greater than any other nation, which is why there are more people in the world that want to come to the United States than any other nation on the face of the earth. And that is why America accepts more people into its nation than any other nation on the face of the earth.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 2, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV. We're rocking it on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. A little light on the numbers this morning as we've been bouncing up and down a little bit with people, I don't know, like going to work and stuff. But check it out. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, subscribe to the page. We are at, right now, about 111 subscribers, which is awesome for about a month and a half of being on YouTube. So go on there. Let's try and get to 115 today, which would be really, really cool. Just go to youtube.com, type in KQAM Radio. Find us, subscribe, watch us live, watch the podcast, all that good jazz. But jump on there. You're not going to want to miss it, because coming up in a half hour from now, we have Mike Pompeo, U.S. Secretary of State, which, I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. No, that's not the one. Here, let's try this again. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State.
Winning.
Yeah, there we go. Coming on the program live in about a half hour from now, talking about a few of the projects he's been working on. Plus, he's going to be in Kansas City today speaking to an entrepreneurial event that is going on. So looking forward to chatting with him in just a little bit. It is a Monday, so let's get you rolling. What do you say? Waking you up, getting you started, not only for today, but for the whole week. Pumped up, ready to go. Big stuff to talk about today. We got the wind farm in Pretty Prairie. We have some politics in the state legislature, all that and more.
Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
There it is, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join in, we'd love to hear from you. This half hour of the broadcast is brought to you by Countryside Motors. Just a short drive down the turnpike for big savings, baby. Make sure to check out the Buick and Chevy cars and trucks, along with the Polaris and Hustler ATV and turf equipment. Countryside Motors, Wellington, Kansas. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Again, countrysidemotors.net. They have your full line service department for anything, whether it's your Buick or Chevy vehicle, your Polaris, Hustler, ATV equipment. They can work on it for you. Plus, they're Spartan dealers as well. Your Spartan dealer for the area, it is Wellington, Kansas. Countrysidemotors.net is the website. Go check them out. 316-721-8255. Let's get into, I guess it's a Kansas update. Let's do it.
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
It's silly. It really is. And I really hope someone got fired from this, because, you know, this is kind of like, if you remember, when President Trump first got elected and he was starting to fill the cabinet positions, and one of the cabinet positions he was filling was the director for the EPA, and the EPA members did not like who he was nominating for the EPA because we were going to cut funding and regulation of the EPA. I don't know how you could survive in a world like that, where you actually had the freedom to drive the car that you want to drive without government telling you what you can and cannot drive. using the toilet paper that you want to use without the government telling you what kind of toilet paper you're allowed to use, what type of light bulb you're allowed to use to flip on in your home because, hey, you have the right to do so. I know, crazy thoughts like that, where you can drive a tractor in the field, not have to worry about the dust being kicked up and you being in violation of some type of environmental code, where it could rain really hard and you don't have a puddle in your backyard. Now they say that that's a navigable body of water, and now that is property of the federal government. I know, we try and cut those regulations. We try and cut that garbage. Now, constitutionally, if you remember, the EPA really isn't supposed to be there in the first place. It's not. I'm sorry. Many people don't like that argument. I don't really care, but it's not supposed to be there. If you want an EPA, it's supposed to be done at the state level, not at the federal level. But Andy, global warming's global. Yeah. Okay. So the EPA, not supposed to be there. But remember, the whole reason I went into that tirade was because when President Donald Trump got elected, if you remember, there was someone tweeting under the EPA account, tweeting against Donald Trump, which they're not supposed to do, because President Donald Trump is their boss, because they fall under the executive branch, under all the administrations and agencies and departments and all that good jazz. So they got in trouble for that. Because that's like me tweeting out something bad about my employer, which why would you do that? That's dumb. You don't do that. You work for the company, so you represent the company, sort of thing. The EPA, their boss was President Donald Trump. Now, they may not like some of his policies, but they can't go on a public tirade trashing his policies while they work for him, or else you're going to get fired. And then, of course, they probably tried to play the victim and all that jazz as well. But the Kansas Department of Transportation, I don't know if you saw the tweet, but came out and called Donald Trump a communist. Huh? Kansas Department of Transportation South Central Division made a comment on Twitter saying President Trump was a delusional communist. The message prompted swift rebuke from the Kansas Republican Party, which did come out, by the way, and said that Governor Kelly campaigned on bipartisanship, but she refuses to negotiate with Republicans in the legislature, and her staff is too busy attacking President Trump on the Kansas taxpayers' dime. That is true. That is true. But good golly, a tweet saying that Donald Trump is, that doesn't even make any sense. Now, the reason that came out was because Donald Trump had made a tweet regarding some commentators on Fox News over the weekend and said that they were trained by CNN because they were left-wing progressives and they should be on CNN. And then, of course, they said that he was a delusional communist trying to control the media. Here's a warning for you. I really don't think that Donald Trump can control the media. The media hates Donald Trump. The media does everything they can to trash Donald Trump. But he does have the right to criticize the media when they do something wrong or when they give out hashtag fake news, because there's a lot of hashtag fake news out there. Like, for example, the 6 people on Twitter that came out and said that it was a good thing that New Zealand is banning firearms, and that AOC was right when she blamed the NRA in America for the shooting that happened in New Zealand, because that makes all the sense in the world, and that we should try to attack the NRA and NRA members and gun advocates and gun owners because of the shooting in New Zealand, and we just can't allow that because that's hateful to. Here's going to be the new slogan: gun owners hate Muslims. I know. That's how they're going to go about this. So that's what we're up against here. Ridiculous attacks. And now Donald Trump, because he criticizes members of the media, is now a communist because he wants to control the media. No one wants to control the media. But here's the question, and this goes into the government agencies as well. The media is supposed to hold the government accountable by exposing what's going on, by reporting on what they're doing, and then relaying that information to you in a nonpartisan, non-opinionated way. There's a difference between media reporting and opinionated journalism, which, and then there's just opinions as well. I'm not a journalist. I'm an opinion giver. I read stories, I comment on them, and I help fuel your fire to want to do something about it. We don't lie, we don't manipulate, we don't twist it. We just read the stories, we regurgitate it, and we give it to you and say, hey, do something about this, because it's ridiculous. We're the activists. The media is not the activists. They're just reporting and saying, hey, here you go. Here's the information. Do what you will with it. They don't do that anymore. No one wants to control the media. we want to hold them accountable because the media supposedly holds the government accountable, but who holds the media accountable? Kind of like a government agency, right? The CIA and the FBI. Yeah, we want to hold them accountable. We want to hold terrorists accountable. We want to hold these people accountable, that person accountable, but who holds them accountable? That's always the tear, right? Between liberty, between personal liberties, and between security. That's what we're always up against. Yeah, we want the FBI to stop bad guys, but they have to get information, and how do we hold them accountable for the purposes and reasons they get that information? And what do they do with that information? The metadata collecting and so on and so forth. Always a fun, great discussion. Where does that line get drawn between security and personal liberty? And in today's times, has it changed compared to when it was 300 years ago? So the media itself as well, remember, they used to call it yellow journalism because it would be opinionated journalism when it wasn't supposed to be, and therefore they attacked it and they called it yellow journalism. And that's what we have today, but we don't call that anymore. Now we call that is reporting, is when we see Fox News or CNN or anybody come out and say, Donald Trump's a jerk, communist, fascist, because he doesn't like this, or he's just using his power to sign national emergencies and so on and so forth. And now we have even Kansas departments like KDOT tweeting on their Twitter, the business Twitter account, that Donald Trump is a communist, a delusional communist. This person better have been fired. Now the tweet's been removed, and Governor Laura Kelly came out and, I believe, made a statement. The tweet has been, this is from by the way, the Secretary of KDOT. The tweet has been deleted from KDOT account and does not reflect the views of KDOT or the administration and was unacceptable use of state communication tools. Okay, that's nice. What are you doing about it? Are you firing them? Are you fining them? Maybe some kind of statement from Governor Laura Kelly would be really nice. They're like, no, absolutely, we love Donald Trump, which I would love to hear her say, right? I would love to hear her say something like that. You know what, Donald Trump, no, he's not a delusional communist. He's actually doing a great job, and we appreciate it, and we love working with him, and look forward to continue working with him. And our public officials were actually out of line doing this. What kind of repercussions are there going to be? Now, if it was a Republican that had used the business tweet account like this, a public account from like the Department of Transportation, and they attack Governor Laura Kelly. Governor Laura Kelly is a tyrannical socialist who needs to be removed from office. If that was posted on the KDOT tweet, do you think that person would still be there? No. They would have been fired. She would have made some type of public comment, and they'd be no more. You'd never hear from them again. And they would have removed it as well and made the public apology, but they also would have been gone. This person, just don't do it again. Slap on the wrist. What are you doing? And then go about your day. Oh, how the times are different, right? One side gets the, don't do it. The other side, hey. This is why we need change. This is why we need to hold accountable for actions. Actions when it comes to social media. Actions when it comes to statements. Actions when it comes to voting. Like Jerry Moran. Like that segue there, Jerry Moran with his vote for the 12 other Republicans that stopped the national emergency declaration that President Trump wanted to sign. Donald Trump probably going to veto that. A big shocker, right? Donald Trump tries to veto a bill blocking what he wanted to do. Oh, my gosh. Crazy shocker, right? Crazy thoughts. So Donald Trump probably vetoing that, but Jerry Moran, as he voted with 11 other Republicans, whatever it was, to block that, probably not going to fare very well for him in the next election. Probably not. And that's the way to represent Kansas, right? One's on the way out and just doesn't care because he's older and just kind of moving on about his thing. Not that he hasn't done good work before, but just kind of moving on out. Now we have Jerry Moran that's sticking to his gun, sticking to the right thing, and he believes in the idea we need to fund the wall, but it's not going to be done the right way, and we wish we had another option. So we're going to vote against that. We're going to stop the Republican president from advocating for his agenda because so many I wonder if he did the same thing when Barack Obama signed so many executive national emergencies. I don't know. I wonder if he did it before, too, with George W. Bush. But hey, why not? Let's go ahead and stop Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a big meaty head. 316-721-8255. Phones are lit up. Let's go to them here, shall we, before we take a break. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Hey, good morning. It's Deacon.
Deacon, what's happening, sir? How we doing?
It's a beautiful day out here, brother.
Every day. I love it.
Hey, I got to take you back a little while. I've been trying to call in. I was having a problem with my phone. Where you were talking about having a court order to lift a ban on not being able to own a gun if you live in an apartment complex.
Yes.
Well, I have a problem with that. All right, it's private property. The government regulating what I can do if I'm the owner of private property, I have a problem with that.
Sure.
You know, when I rent right now, and when I decided to rent, I went to the landlord and I said, look, I'm not going to rent from you if I can't put an American flag in my front yard. I'm going to install a flagpole.
Right.
I went through 3 places before I found somebody who said, okay, go ahead and do it.
Wow.
So, I mean, you have an option on where you live. If you don't want to live someplace that bans a gun, then don't live there.
Well, that's the thing, though, statewide, especially in apartment complexes, as far as my understanding was that the law was no apartment complex can have a firearm there.
There's my ignorance right there, because I didn't know it was a law saying that, you couldn't have one.
That's my understanding. I may be wrong with that.
Smoke in a restaurant.
Yeah, that was exactly. Yeah, that was my understanding, is that apartment complexes, any type of rental apartment complex, duplex, that sort of thing, that you are not allowed to have firearms in those venues, and that's the law trying to repeal that law to actually give renters the opportunity to actually have a firearm in their apartment complex while they're renters and be able to protect themselves at home, which I think is common sense. And why we had that law to ban them in the first place, I think is a little ridiculous.
See, that's why I love listening to your show, brother. I learn something new every day.
Hey, there we go. See, and this is why we need to. Now, I don't know if this is going to go anywhere this year either. That bill was presented right at the beginning of the session, and we haven't seen any type of movement on it. But now that we're aware of there's an issue here, let's make it front and center. Let's get this baby through. What do you think?
Absolutely. If there is a law on the books that tells a private property owner that they're not allowed to have a gun on their property, then that needs to be done away with. 86 it, because it's private property. You have no legal right to tell me what I can do. I don't care if I let everybody and their brother come to my property.
Mm-hmm.
It's still private property.
Yeah. Well, and the reason they tried this is because the landowners, the owners of the apartment complexes, whatever, were concerned that they would be held liable if there was a shooting in some type of accident, some type of killing or whatever, and that they'd be held liable because it went through a wall and killed somebody. And they didn't want that. So I kind of sort of understood their concern. At the same time, they have no right to control that in any way, shape, or form.
If you can be sued for what I do, then that's an asinine scenario right there, because I am responsible for my own actions.
Yeah,
so,
but come on, Deacon. We don't hold responsibility for people anymore. It's all just the blame game, baby.
Oh, yeah, it's the unborn child's fault. It's the car's fault. It's the gun's fault. It's not the person who did the damage fault.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you prefer, real quick, before we let you go, for a concealed carry handgun, your preferred caliber? Do you like the .45 or do you like the 9mm?
Actually, I carry a Glock 22 and 40 Smith & Wesson.
That's what I'm talking about, my friend. I love it. Deacon, appreciate the phone call very much, my friend. Happy Monday to you. Got to take a break. Wrapping up here, 23 minutes past the hour. In just about 10 minutes or so, we have U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joining us live right here on the program. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned in right here, The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network. With part 2 of his report on wind energy, here's Larry Steckline.
Welcome to the Mid-America Ag Network Ag Update. Hi, everybody. Got a special guest with us today, Spencer Jenkins. He's the project manager of the big wind farm going into the Pretty Prairie area, Reno County. And we're talking about a company called NextEra Energy Resources, who has been in the business a good long time. You heard us talk about it on our last report. And Spencer, you're telling us that you're getting pretty close to starting to put up windmills in Reno County. Tell me exactly what you think about wind resource versus the stuff that we've been using for 100 years, coal, oil, and natural gas.
Absolutely. Wind is a homegrown, low-cost source of energy that helps move our country towards energy independence. It creates no greenhouse gases or other air pollutants and creates no waste byproducts. Wind energy also creates a steady and reliable source of income for landowners and communities not susceptible to the ups and downs of commodity prices or weather.
One quick question, Spencer. If they're in pastures, if these windmills are in pastures, they have any problems with cattle around them?
No. We operate many wind sites around cattle and on ranches and do not encounter any issues, and it is completely compatible with cattle operations.
Well, your company is one of the biggest in the nation. You're also getting involved in solar. Can you give us an update on where that stands for solar energy in the future?
Absolutely. We've known for a long time that Kansas is a great state for wind energy, and what we're seeing now is Kansas is also a great state for solar energy, and we expect solar to be a big part of the energy mix in the state in the coming years.
And our project already underway?
Yes, NextEra Energy Resources is actively developing solar sites in the state of Kansas.
So there you go, folks. All kinds of ways that agriculture can be used to not only farm, well, maybe it is farming. It's farming energy. That's the Mid-America Report.
Farmers, where do you go when you need top quality seed with a large selection? Kaufman Seeds. Call us for all your wheat, corn, soybeans, grain sorghum, forage, cover crops, oats, barley, triticale, and alfalfa. If we don't have what you're looking for, let us help you find it. No order is too large or too small. Call Kaufman Seeds at 800-634-2836. 800-634-2836.
Are you ready for a renovation in your landscape? Would you like to add trees, shrubs, or flowers? Do you need somebody that can help you deciding what to plant? Call Professional Landscaping Services at 832-0061 for a free estimate. Professional Landscaping Services has experienced personnel and the right equipment to do the right job for you. We have over 35 years of experience providing quality work. Call Professional Landscaping Services at 832-0061. We do what we say we'll do for you. Professional Landscaping Services, 832-0061.
When it comes to cleaning homes, dust, grime, and soap scum don't stand a chance when a team of highly trained dirt assassins from the Maids hit the scene. Ruthlessly efficient, trained in a 22-step process perfected through years of practice by the Maids. These masters of messes have only one motto: we fight dirty. Call now for a free estimate and schedule every other week service. Call the Maids, 316-832-9058, or visit maids.com.
Heartland Bicycle in the heart of Wichita's Old Town at 111 North Mosley has just about anything you need for you and your bicycling needs. Bicycles from Giant, Salsa Bicycles, frames and components, Gunner Cycles USA, and Sun Bicycles. Did you know Heartland Bicycle rents bicycles? And when it comes to service, Heartland will fix you right. Bicycle clothing and accessories. In the heart of Wichita's Old Town, it's Heartland Bicycle. Online at heartlandbike.com.
I'm America's Digital Pro, Kim Commando. Join me for the Kim Commando Show Sunday right here on the Big Talker, KQAM, Wichita.
Oh, we got so much to get to right here on the program. I do want to focus some more time on some of those Second Amendment bills that I think are going to be floating around. Whether we see those go through or not by the end of the session in the next few weeks or not, I'm not quite sure. Coming up after the bottom of the hour, we have U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joining us live here on the program. Oh, no. In hour number 3, we'll get to some more legislative updates as they are still happening. One of them, the citizenship voting law. We've seen the triage, the 3 bills trying to happen back to back to back. They're really desperate to make this happen. Number 1, giving illegal aliens driver's licenses. The number 2, saying that if you go to the DMV to get your license, you need to be automatically registered. The number 3, getting rid of your citizenship question or verification in order for you to register to vote, because we are desperate. We are desperate. It ties into the federal movement as well. Desperation on the left side of the aisle for voters that don't necessarily need to be voting, whether it's 16-year-olds voting, which is really comical, or whether it's the, illegal alien voting. Why not? Why not? Because they realize that average Americans, you and I, the average working American, probably is not going to vote for socialism. So the only people that can do it are the uneducated 16-year-olds that have no idea about the world, or illegal aliens that just came from a bad country that think that they're getting free goodies. So, hey, that voter base is going to make them quite happy. Bottom of the hour news coming up. When we come back, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, right here on the show. Stay tuned.
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM.
Many Nebraska towns have become islands as floodwaters threaten along the Missouri and down through the Mississippi rivers. Correspondent Stephanie Elam is in Omaha.
All of the river systems in the state of Nebraska are experiencing some stage of flooding. And on top of that, more than half of the counties in Nebraska are in a state of emergency.
Dutch police confirm 1 dead, multiple wounded in a shooting on a tram in the city of Utrecht.
The Dutch Prime Minister has said, Mark Rutte has said he's very concerned by what's taking place. There's some confusion as to whether or not they're officially labeling this a terrorist incident or not. The police here won't call it that, but the Central Command say that it does appear to be that way.
Correspondent Richard Quest, a storage tank fire on the Houston Ship Channel has spread to 7 petrochemical storage tanks, forcing residents in the suburb of Deer Park, Texas, to stay indoors. No injuries as of yet reported. I'm John Trout.
There are over 5,000 songs on the radio that talk about home. But without realtors, there's a chance there wouldn't be any songs about home, or coming home, or take me home, or sweet home, or who says you can't go home. Luckily, there are over 1.3 million realtors who dedicate their lives to finding you the perfect place to sing home about. So count on members of the National Association of Realtors, one of the most trusted organizations since 1908. That's who we are.
Are you looking for senior care for your mom or dad but don't know where to start? Hi, I'm Jen London with The Place for Mom. Nobody knows your parent or loved one better than you, and nobody knows senior living better than the experts at A Place for Mom. It's a free service, and we've helped thousands of families find the right place for their mom or dad. There's a place for answers, A Place for Mom. Call today.
Call A Place for Mom at 1-800-391-1755. That's 1-800-391-1755.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Monday. The Osborne County Sheriff's Office is searching for a missing 20-year-old Garrett Kipp. Kipp went missing from the Osborne County area on Thursday, last seen at a gas station in Russell and at a Casey's General Store around 10 o'clock Friday morning. Garrett Kipp's pickup truck was found abandoned near Natoma, Kansas, and his cell phone found about a quarter mile away from the truck. Kipp is described as Caucasian, 6'2", 190 to 200 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Anyone with information about the 20-year-old's whereabouts should contact the Osborne County Sheriff's Office. Wichita authorities say the concentration of registered offenders and parolees in the area is straining resources and posing risks to public safety. The Wichita Eagle reports Sedgwick County has the largest number of parolees and registered offenders in the state, with many coming from other counties or states. Mid-America Network News.
You can't handle the truth.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
Whatever your business, count on EMC Insurance, because our business is protecting your business. EMC Insurance Companies has the knowledge and expertise to provide you with the right insurance coverage options. And when you insure your business with EMC, you receive the added value of our free loss control services, no matter the size of your company. Contact your local independent insurance agent and ask about insurance from EMC. In Wichita, call Signature Select at 266-6203.
Waring and Fiegel Optometry at 2121 North Tyler, number 302, has a selection of prescription sun eyewear that's so bright everyone can be wearing shades. Waring and Fiegel Optometry has the names in sun eye apparel that people seek. Prescription eyewear from Maui Jim, Oakley, Wiley X, Rudy Project, and even sunglasses from Amphibia. Squinting in this beautiful sunshine doesn't have to be a thing. What are you wearing? Waring and Fiegel Optometry, 21st in Tyler.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, mostly sunny and 60, mostly cloudy and 41 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 58, rain likely mainly after lunch. 30% chance of rain for tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 37. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
at 7:35. It's currently 39 degrees.
This segment of The Voice of Reason on KQAM brought to you by Riverside Cafe, home of the 3-pound burger and hand-cut fries, plus breakfast all day long. 2 Wichita locations and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. Riverside Cafe.
35 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice of Reason here on a Monday. It's a beautiful day. I want to get right into it as we have limited time with our next guest, but I'm so excited to have him back on the program as he's actually back in Kansas for a couple of days here. Secretary of State for the United States, Mr. Mike Pompeo, on the line with us here. Mr. Secretary, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Andy. It's great to be back on with you, and it's great to be back home in Kansas.
Oh, it's great to have you back here, and always great to have you on the show, my friend. You've been a busy guy. I know you're in town that I want to talk about your entrepreneurial event that you're speaking at today up in Kansas City, but big stuff going on with Secretary of State's department. We got to ask, I know the big news, of course, has been lately with all the issues going on with North Korea and then backing out of stuff. What's going on over there? Do we see any chance of negotiations still going on out there?
So we've been at this now for, goodness, a little over a year. We've made real progress. We've got missile tests stopped. We've got nuclear testing stopped. We got some of our hostages home, which was a blessing. But we still haven't made the progress we need to make on denuclearization. The conversations certainly continue. Hope we can achieve that. Chairman Kim made a commitment to President Trump and, frankly, to the world back in June of last year in Singapore. He promised he would denuclearize, and the world is demanding that. American safety depends on it, and we're determined to achieve it.
Well, good. And I think he would look pretty foolish if he starts backing out on stuff now for no apparent reason. So hopefully we do see that. Coming up today, you are speaking in Kansas City for an entrepreneurial event. Talk a little bit about that. What's bringing you back to Kansas?
So the State Department's first client is, of course, the American people and keeping the American people safe. Among the things that is most important to have a robust American national security apparatus is a growing economy, and the State Department helps with that. We wanted to come here today to talk to folks here in the heartland about that. If you've got a small business like I did back in South Central Kansas and you want to sell your products, your goods, your services across the world in international markets, the State Department can help. If you're looking for investors from across the world or partners or others to help you innovate, we can help you with that too. We have a number of programs that are aimed squarely at growing the American economy, growing American businesses. And today we'll talk to entrepreneurs here in Kansas City and both sides of the state border and share with them what it is the State Department can help deliver on their behalf so they can grow their company.
We are really seeing economic growth. I mean, the GDP has been growing more so under President Trump than it was under President Barack Obama. Are we still seeing the onset down the road here of continued economic growth all over the country?
We're confident that we can, whether that's the reduced regulatory environment that we're in today or the pro-growth policies of President Trump. We're convinced the economy will still be thriving next year and the year after. Things look pretty good. We've got some of the lowest unemployment we've ever had in history. That's all across the board. That's for African Americans and women. President Trump has put the American economy on the right course, and one of the reasons I'm out here today is to make sure that continues.
Sure. And this is a two-parter, isn't it? I mean, it's in Kansas City now, and it's going to be in the Netherlands, I believe, in June, correct?
That's right, and we've got senior leaders from the Netherlands that'll be with us here today. Both government officials and entrepreneurs from their country will be traveling to do this in the summertime there. This is a global effort. The folks who come today to the seminar will get to meet people from all across the world, to network, to develop relationships, so that they can put their business on a trajectory for international growth.
I love it. International growth right here in Kansas, and that's something we should be very proud of. You guys actually at the State Department have opportunities, and I know you want to mention this as well at the event today, but even people that can't make it to the event, there's actually opportunities for people to jump on board and work with you guys at the State Department, correct?
So what the State Department does is absolutely central for America to keep Kansas safe. And being an American diplomat is a noble job. It's interesting. It's fascinating. We have engineers, linguists, we have people with doctors. We have people with every skill set. And I wanted to come to Kansas today to talk to Kansans and tell them if it's something you're interested in, if you think traveling the world and representing America across the world is something you might be interested in, go onto our website to careersstate.gov and see if it's for you. These are great opportunities. They're wonderful jobs where you can learn, make yourself better, and do so while you're keeping America safe.
Hey, I love it. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, I know you're short on time, my friend, but we love every time you come back here to Kansas. We love getting you on the program. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially with the elections going on next year, and I know they've been talking to you about that kind of stuff, but I know you're focused on a lot of great projects right now, keeping America safe and working with a lot of the other nations. So we thank you for what you do each and every day, my friend.
Andy, thank you very much. It's great to be back with you, and it's great to be back talking to Kansas. Hope you all are doing great.
Hey, I love it. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo right there. We'll get you back on the show
sir.
again real soon. Always a pleasure right there. There it is, Secretary of State for the United States, Mr. Mike Pompeo on the program. I know he's just got limited time, but we always appreciate when he can jump on with us here each and every time. 316-721-8255. There it is. He's going to be speaking in Overland Park. Kind of cool, isn't it? Coming to town and mentioning entrepreneurship. I mean, the State Department, you really talk about the duties of them, and it's not just kind of the ambassadorship between nations, but trying to build economic growth, which is really interesting. Now, that really brings to light the idea of, there was an interview actually with the Kansas City Star and with the Wichita Eagle together that just was released about, and they have to cling on to every little word they got to cling on to about whether Mike Pompeo is going to jump into the Senate race in 2020, and he said that God will handle whatever his next direction is going to be and when he's going to come back to Kansas. And they used that little excerpt of his interview, which had some really good stuff in it, about the fact that he may be coming back and jumping in last minute. I don't know if he will or not, but I think that what he's doing, I got to say, he is probably one of the best representations of what's going on in D.C. and representing Kansas in that proper way, and we really appreciate what he does each and every day. I'd like us to just lay down the hammer on North Korea a little bit, which I had to throw that question in there, but your thoughts, 316-721-8255. Kind of cool we can get him to reach out to us and want to come on the program, especially what's going on and his event in Kansas City. He'll be in the Netherlands in June, speaking at the same thing with his entrepreneurship and ways that we, here in Kansas, right here in Kansas, we can grow businesses internationally and actually succeed. Now, the Democrats are going to want to tax it to death, but at least we have the opportunity to do so. What do you say? Let's go to the phones here, shall we? Line number one. Good morning. Who's this?
Hey, it's Citizen Sean here, Andy.
Mr. Sean, how are you, sir?
Oh man, I tell you, not in a good way this morning. You know what grinds my gears?
What's that?
You know what just makes me so angry? I could just trim my fingernails and toenails with a cutting torch.
Well, that would be very painful, but go for it. What's on your mind?
Listen, man, when I was a kid, the local news used to come on at noon, 6, and 12, Monday through Friday. Okay? That was all you got out of a 24-hour day, was an hour and a half of news. Half hour to an hour on the weekends. But, oh, no, not in this day and age. I tell you what, Andy, I did an undercover, in-depth undercover investigation, and this is what I found out. Cake News, all right? For example, they come on at 4:30 in the morning, and they're on for a whole 2.5 hours. You know, it's local news and national news, weather, sports, and a whole bunch of other useless crap that women like to watch. And then they're back on at 11 o'clock in the morning for a whole hour. All right.
Sure. I mean, come on, we got to learn about the puppy dogs that are beautiful in town.
Yeah, and then they're back on at 4 in the afternoon for an hour and a half, and then they're back on at 6, and then they're back on at 10 p.m., except this time it's not 30 minutes. It's 35 minutes, Andy. Somewhere they found a way to squeeze in an extra 5 minutes on us.
That is
true. And then they're back on at some odd time in the morning. I think it's 2:06 in the morning. They're rebroadcasting their 10 o'clock news.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many hours of news now we're getting just from Cake News? That's 6 hours and 40 minutes.
Well, let me tell you.
And that's ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you.
It's not Cake News on your side, Andy. It's Cake News in your face all the time. And that's just Cake News.
Well, this is why you can turn into a wonderful talk show that gives you the information on topical issues, and then you can go about your day.
Well, I'm fed up with it, man. Even Channel 3 News and 12 Eyeball News, they're showing up on other TV stations at all hours of the day and night.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then. Did you get some good information from our interview we just did with Secretary Pompeo?
Yes, I did. And I would love to go to work for the State Department, but unfortunately, I'm probably too old and too disabled and don't have quite the skills they're looking for. You know, I mean, I don't think they're going to want me to travel the world on their behalf shooting people. I already did that in the military.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well, here's a question. Do you think he's going to jump into the 2020 Senate race here in Kansas?
Well, I hope he doesn't for now. Just let him stay where he's at. This is what I don't like about when we lose good guys over to the presidential cabinet or some other job in the federal government. You know, once they're gone, they're gone. So let them stay where they're at, do their job, and then when they're done with that, and then come back. If you want to run for Senate, run for the Senate. But
well, here's the theory. I don't know whether this is true or not, but if he does, there's huge opportunity, and he would kind of fill that final gap and seal that final deal for him to run for the Senate seat in 2020. If he wins that, then to run for president in 2024, whether it's a term of President Donald Trump that's finishing up or whether it's going to be somebody else. Hopefully not. But then he's in prime position to run for a presidency in 24.
Well, I say just, okay, make the run for the Senate after he finishes. He's been working for the president's
good while now.
First term anyway. It doesn't matter the position, I guess. So he can do that, and then he can come back and run for the Senate. But that's a 6-year gig if he gets elected. So why drop out and run from the presidency?
Well, hey, you know what?
He already said he was only going to do 12 years in Congress total anyway, and he did. Geez, how many years before 2010 till he'd already done like 6-7 years.
6 years, yeah. So he did a good job there, and look, I'm a big fan. I think that he would, and just think about it. I mean, someone like Mike Pompeo from Kansas that has more qualifications even than someone like Hillary Clinton. I know, that's craziness, right? Sean, I love it. We got to take a break here, my friend. Always a pleasure. 316-721-8255. Again, thanks again to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joining the program. We'll replay the interview coming up in hour number 3 in case you missed it. And I know it was kind of short, but he is a busy guy, and we got him for a few minutes at least, which was great. So we'll have to have him back on the program again later on, as maybe he's working a little bit closer with Kansas on some of the projects that he's doing to possibly have a little bit bigger presence here. I don't know. People hanging on every little word that he says when they ask him, and everybody. I didn't ask him. And you could hear he chuckled a little bit when I mentioned it because I think he finds it kind of comical. But he did chuckle a little bit when I said people are really pushing him to come back here. And every word they hang on. When he said that, well, got to let us know when it's time for us to come back. I don't know what that means. I don't know if there's just like, yeah, you know what, it's about time. Kind of feeling it. Or, nah, you know what, I'm good right now. He said, now he did say just about a month ago, he did say, no, I am not running for the Senate seat. But times change. In politics, you can't really say anything with absolute certainty because then things change. So I don't know. But I did kind of mention it, and he chuckled a little bit. So I think it's still on the back of his mind. At least he's finding entertainment value out of it, which is really good. Let's sneak in one more phone call before break, shall we? 48 minutes past here. Good morning. Who's this?
Hi, this is Bill. Andy, how are you?
I am great, my friend. How you doing?
Not too bad. Unfortunately, I missed the interview with Secretary Pompeo, but I'll catch it later today. I'm thinking, stay where you're at. Let's get somebody else in there, to replace Roberts, and then in 2022. Mm-hmm. Why not have him run against Moran, and let's get that guy the heck out of office.
Oh, that's an idea there, especially after the vote that Moran did. You're right. I think he shot himself in the foot. I don't see Moran getting a re-election in this next election. I really don't.
No, I don't either. He I guess for lack of a better word and to be polite, he stank on ice to begin with this last couple of elections. And this was just like the end game, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't vote for him to be the dog catcher.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't know. I guess the situation in a few years might really tell. If Donald Trump's still president in 2022, then you're right. I think that the Republicans will definitely try and push him out, is the fact that he won't support the president. If there's a Democrat in there, though, then maybe he'll still play the card of we're working together and doing the thing, and he might be able to pull off a new one. So that's a really great point. I appreciate that. I don't know where we're going to be in 2022, but I really hope that we could get some conservative alternatives. You're right. Maybe Pompeo hang out a little bit and then challenge him in 2022. If that's the case, that would be a really fun race, wouldn't it? Appreciate the call, my friend. We got to take a break here. 10 minutes at the top of the hour. We'll replay the interview with Pompeo in hour number 3 at 8:30. We'll play it then so that way you can hear it again. It's only about a 5-minute interview, really brief, really short, but we do appreciate him coming on the program. And we'll do that again, wrapping up the program today on a Monday right here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Friday was a very strong day in the livestock complex. We saw nice gains in fat cattle, feeder cattle, and hogs had a heyday on Friday. April live cattle finished the day up 170 at 129.10. June up 157 at 121.92. We saw gains of more than $1 in many of the later months. Feeder cattle did very well. April feeders up 2 at 129.10.
If it take
June at 146.92. May feeders up 210 at 148.50. Once again, each of the later months was strongly in the green, and hogs had a heyday. Limit higher. April hogs at $68.80, up $3. That's the limit. May hogs at $77.90. That's also $3 higher. That's the limit. And each of the later months was heyday. Limit
with
higher.
Shannon Siles.
April, strong day for hogs on Friday. As far as the grains and soybeans are concerned, corn finished strongly. Soybeans and Kansas City wheat did as well.
There's not a lot of
43. July Kansas City wheat was up 6 3/4 at 451 3/4. All three of the wheat markets had strong gains on Friday. May corn up 3 at the end of the day at 373 1/4. July corn was up 2 3/4 at 282 3/4. We saw positives in each of the later months as well. So a very strong day for Kansas City wheat. And for corn, soybeans saw double-digit gains in many of the months. May soybeans at 909 1/4, up 10 3/4. July soybeans at 923, also up 10 3/4. We saw very strong gains in each of the later months. So a positive day for soybeans. Soybean meal did well. May up 490 at 310.80. July bean meal was at 480 higher at 314.50. So a strong day for soybeans and soybean meal. The tough spot was oil. Soy oil didn't fare so well. May down 14 points at 29.43. July down 15 at 29.74. But all in all, a pretty strong day for the ag futures on Friday. Update from Mid-America Ag Network.
When it comes to the trailer you're hauling behind your vehicle, whether it's a big rig or a pickup truck, MJ's Truck Repair at exit 46 off I-135 in Mound Ridge, Kansas has your back. Doonan and Chaparral drop decks, flatbeds, and heavy hauling trailers for the big rigs, along with gooseneck livestock trailers by Barrett. And for your pickup truck, the utility line of trailers from Rice with 5x10 to 8x20 boxes. MJ's Truck Repair, Mound Ridge.
Soon we will be hearing the chirping of birds and feeling the warm sunshine. Wouldn't it be nice if you were ready with a brand new deck from Burwell Construction? Now's the time to plan for spending time in your backyard, and Burwell Construction has done it all. From mini decks and small patios to outdoor eating areas with gazebos. To enjoy your backyard this spring and summer, the logical choice is Burwell Construction. Online at burwellconstruction.com.
If it's built well, it's Burwell. Burwell Construction.
Joe and the guys at Carl's Goodyear, well, they are nice guys. That's the only way to describe them. Need new tires? Got you covered. Flat tire fixed? Done. Tune-up? Oil change? Brakes? Exhaust? Radiator? You get the idea. They do almost everything for your vehicle. They will also give you a ride when your car is in the shop. Nice guys who know auto repair, but above that, they know people and treat them like they would want to be treated. Carl's Goodyear, right on the corner of Market and Waterman, 264-5385.
If you're active military, a veteran, or part of our law enforcement community, bring in your active or inactive military ID or an active law enforcement ID to any Riverside Cafe location. Buy 2 meals and a drink and get the second meal of equal or lesser value for free. Again, for any military vets or law enforcement, buy 1 meal and 2 drinks and get the second meal at no charge. Riverside Cafe.
Riverside Cafe, with all 3 locations serving all-day breakfast. In Wichita at 9125 West Central, 13th in Bidding, and in Derby at 824 North Baltimore.
Hey, it's Dave Ramsey. Join me today live at 2 right here on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM. Now back to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Now that I think about it, I don't know if we'll play the Pompeo interview that we did, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, either in the third hour or maybe we'll do it tomorrow. trying to get some recording issues figured out here. So we'll figure it out. We may try and play it in the hour number 3. If not, we'll do it tomorrow for sure. Regardless, we will replay the interview with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo from the last segment. Appreciate that. Welcome in 316-721-8255. This portion of The Voice of Reason is brought to you by the AARP. Whether it's the Fraud Watch Network, Retirement Calculator, getting involved in the community, check them out, aarp.org/KS for the state of Kansas. Marin Turner back on the line with us here. Good morning, Marin. Happy Monday. How are you today?
Good morning, Andy. Happy morning to you.
It is a wonderful Monday. The sun's coming up. It's like relatively warm. I love the nice warm weather over the weekend. I got a little sunburn. So, hey, all in all, I think we're starting to see springtime. I can't be happier.
I can't be happier either, and this is the best way to start the week.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, you guys are always running, hit the ground running as well, first thing of the week, and you guys are getting ready for some more events that people can go to with the AARP. Talk about some of the stuff coming up here soon.
Well, we do. We always have something going on in Wichita. But today I'd like to talk about our Livable Communities Initiative. We work with elected officials. We work with local leaders, policymakers, planners, citizen advocates to help towns, cities, counties, and states create a more livable community for all ages. So, for example, we worked with the city several years ago to create the state's only grandparents park, because that makes that community more livable if you have some place to go and recreate. Over the next few months, we're going to be conducting listening tours, and we're going to have one in each city council district multiple times. We'll be asking people when they come into a coffee shop to let us buy that coffee drink for you. We'd like to also talk to you about what do you think would make your community more livable? How likely are you to make a difference or to move to a different home when you retire? And how important is it for you to stay in your community? So, again, we'll be having a series of coffee talks. You can just walk in, and the coffee or the coffee drink is on us. You can talk to us in person. You can talk to us online. But we'll be having them beginning the 27th of March from 10 to 11 o'clock. So in District 1, if you walk into Beautiful Day Cafe between 10 and 11, the drink is on us. Same thing is true for District 2 if you walk into Livingston Cafe, or District 5 if you walk into Want Coffee. Again, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to participate in the survey. We'd like for you to, but just come and meet us and talk about whatever's on your mind when it comes to livable communities.
Well, I love it because we always talk about on the show different activities and different community events going on, and it's really never a dull moment in the community, especially here in the Wichita area with how much is going on between shows and festivities and everything else. So ways for other communities and other groups that may not get to be involved in a lot of that stuff, and may not be able to go to a rock concert, at nighttime, or that may not be able to go to a large group event. I mean, different events to go out and enjoy and spend some time with friends and family and just have fun. That stuff's really important for the community.
Oh, I think it's a very critical point for the community. And the wonderful thing about the information that we collect is that we're going to turn it over to those officials that are running to become mayor of Wichita, so that they'll know what the citizens of Wichita really want when it comes to having a livable community. Again, this is a time just to come out and socialize and have a free drink and get to know a little bit more about AARP, so we hope people will come. Again, we're going to have these over the next several months in every city council district, so we hope to see folks. I also want to remind everybody about our Caregiving Cafe tomorrow from 10 to 11 at the Atwater. We hope to see you there, too. So if you want more information, give us a call, 1-866-448-3619. We'd love to talk to you.
I love it. The AARP with Marin Turner. Marin, I love it. Have a great week. We'll chat with you again next Monday. Always a great time. Hour number 3 coming up. Stay here.
Hi again, everybody. Tony White, Augusta Flight Center. Want to talk about our flight training packages. Private pilot packages starting at just $5,900. Now that'll get you 47 and a half hours in the aircraft, 2.5 hours on our flight training device, 45 hours of instruction, also a free headset and a free home study kit. For more information on this and other flight training options, visit our website at iflyaugusta.com, our Facebook page, or you can call us at 316-733-4080.
Whatever your business, count on EMC Insurance because our business is protecting your business. EMC Insurance Companies has the knowledge and expertise to provide you with the right insurance coverage options. And when you insure your business with EMC, you receive the added value of our free loss control services, no matter the size of your company. Contact your local independent insurance agent and ask about insurance from EMC. In Wichita, call IMA Inc. at 267-9221.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM. Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Phil's Coins, Kansas's largest coin dealer at 9344 West Central. Phil's Coins, buying, selling, and trading with honesty and integrity.
Good Monday morning. Authorities say 2 pedestrians were struck by a vehicle Saturday night in Wichita. That accident happened around 10 o'clock in the 1700 block of West Douglas near the Shamrock Lounge. On scene, officers say a middle-aged man and woman were attempting to cross the street when they were struck by a vehicle. Cake TV reports the 2 were transported to the hospital in critical condition but have since been upgraded to stable. No names were immediately released. Police are investigating after an officer shot a dog last night in northeast Wichita. Authorities say the incident happened around 6 o'clock outside a residence in the 2100 block of North Erie. KWCH-TV reports police say 2 officers were finishing up a call in the area when they saw a large breed dog on the loose, and officers tried to let the dog pass, but it attacked one of them as they were getting in their vehicle. The dog was taken to the emergency vet center for treatment after being shot. Neither of the officers were harmed in the incident. The death of an inmate at the Sedgwick County Detention Facility may have been a self-inflicted asphyxiation, according to officials. The inmate was found unresponsive in his cell Friday night at about 20 minutes before 7 o'clock, and the man was pronounced deceased at 7:16 after being treated by emergency medical services. The decedent was taken to the Sedgwick County Coroner's Office to determine the exact cause of death. This was the first in-custody death at the Sedgwick County Detention Facility of 2019. KSN-TV reports since 2016 there have been 143 suicide attempts in the Sedgwick County Jail. It took us until St. Patrick's Day, but we finally got a spring-like weather weekend, and forecasters say rain chances are showing up this week. However, our spring-like temperatures will hold out this week in the 50s and 60s. From the KQAM KGSO newsroom, I'm Rick Everett. Now to the sports desk and Doug Downs.
The Wichita State Shockers didn't make it to the NCAA tournament after losing a semifinal matchup in the American Athletic Conference tournament to Cincinnati over the weekend, but they were chosen as one of 32 teams by the NIT yesterday. The Shockers received a number 6 seed, and they will play at number 3 seed Furman. It'll be a 6 o'clock tip-off on Wednesday in Greenville, South Carolina. Meanwhile, KU and K-State both got number 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Kansas will face Northeastern on Thursday, and the Wildcats will face UC Irvine on Thursday as well. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Croft Lumber of Heston. Project expertise from start to finish. At Croft Lumber, you'll experience big box store selection with Heston owned and operated, pride in serving you, the customer. Quality Anderson and Marvin windows. Anderson and Larson storm doors. The full line of custom kitchen cabinetry from R.D. Henry and Company. And Croft Lumber has the full Milwaukee tool line. Croft Lumber, where service is their specialty and delivery within a 50-mile radius is absolutely free. Croft Lumber of Heston.
Here's some simple math for you. Chevy cars and trucks just cost less at Countryside Motors in Wellington. You want the best price on a Silverado in Kansas or Oklahoma? Check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Are you looking for that perfect SUV? They have the great selection of Buick Enclaves, Envisions, and Encores, again, at the best prices anywhere. Countryside Motors in Wellington. Folks, it's simple math. For the best prices on cars and trucks, check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Simple math. Best prices. Come on out to the country and save. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas.
Crop producers, you know you can produce a higher crop yield while reducing the impact on valuable natural resources, including water supplies and soil, with the proper nutrition and management. Tyree Ag partners with AgroLiquid Fertilizers and Pioneer Seed with the goal of prospering the farmer while safeguarding the environment. Tyree Ag offers quality aerial and ground applications, precision ag services, and a broad selection of crop protection and biostimulant products serving South Central Kansas and Northwest Oklahoma. Visit Tyree Ag today at tyreeag.com.
Now, back to the KQAM News Desk.
Many Nebraska towns have become islands as floodwaters threaten along the Missouri and down through the Mississippi rivers. Correspondent Stephanie Elam is in Omaha.
All of the river systems in the state of Nebraska are experiencing some stage of flooding. And on top of that, more than half of the counties in Nebraska are in a state of emergency.
Dutch police confirm 1 dead, multiple wounded in a shooting on a tram in the city of Utrecht.
The Dutch Prime Minister has said, Mark Rutte has said he's very concerned by what's taking place. There is some confusion as to whether or not they are officially labeling this a terrorist incident or not. The police here won't call it that, but the Central Command say that it does appear to be that way.
Correspondent Richard Quest, a storage tank fire on the Houston Ship Channel has spread to 7 petrochemical storage tanks, forcing residents in the suburb of Deer Park, Texas, to stay indoors. No injuries as of yet reported. I'm John Trout.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Maximum Outdoor Equipment. All equipment outdoors, from lawnmowers to snowblowers. Just south of Kellogg on West Street and online at MaximumOutdoor.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, mostly sunny and 60, mostly cloudy and 41 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 58, rain likely mainly after lunch. 30% chance of rain for tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 37. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:06, it's currently 39 degrees.
Your home for Wildcat basketball. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. It's time for Reason.
That's why we are nationalists, because we believe our nation as a whole, as the melting pot or as the mosaic or as whatever else you want to call it, is greater than any other nation, which is why there are more people in the world that want to come to the United States than any other nation on the face of the earth. And that is why America accepts more people into its nation than any other nation on the face of the earth.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 3, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV. We're rocking it on YouTube Live. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, subscribe to the page. Let's get our numbers moving on up each and every day the way we love to do, because we are the fastest growing radio show in all of South Central Kansas and really the state of Kansas as a whole. It's a Monday morning. That means we're setting the tone for you, not only for today, but for the whole week. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We have just covered a little bit of what we wanted to throughout the show so far, so let's make it happen. What do you say? Come on.
Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
There it is, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, I want to hear from you today. Secretary of State Pompeo joined in the last hour. I'm going to try and replay it in this hour. If not, then we'll do it tomorrow. I'm not sure how we'll make it happen yet, but one way or the other, we'll replay the interview with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. This half hour of the broadcast is brought to you by Wildwood Cellars. It's more than just buying a bottle of wine. You can learn about the tips to find the wine that you like and not the wine that you're supposed to like from the nationally acclaimed vineyards right here in Kansas. They have the different varieties, types, flavors, plus the elderberry concentrate as well. And really, no matter what you're looking for, dry, sweet, semi-sweet, semi-dry, doesn't matter, all the different flavors. Right off the Turnpike in Mulvane, or in Wichita at Maple and Ridge, online at wildwoodsellers.com. Again, wildwoodsellers.com. Open lines to you this hour, 316-721-8255. No guests, just you and I chit in the chat, advancing conservatism. And there's been one issue that's come up that's been very interesting to me, that I don't understand the negativity going on behind it. I don't quite get it. But there is the Pretty Prairie Wind Farm, where wanting to build numerous different wind turbines which, as you know, in the western part of the state, they make a lot of them. We export a lot of different wind energy and wind turbines to other parts of the country. But us utilizing it here in Kansas, we've gotten better. We're actually number, 5 or 6 in the country, I think, for how much we utilize it. But we're doing more. And as the energy companies begin to try and regulate, they're very angry that they're losing out. Now, we got to remember, and I've mentioned this before, but utility companies are public sector entities. They're offering a service. It's not mandatory for you to have. If people are using less of their product, then they just have to export less of their product. That does not mean that they have to change their rates because they're a public utility company. They are not guaranteed for people to sign on to them. It is not promised for people to sign on to them. So them getting a little upset of the fact that we're using different solar panels for the home, or we're using solar panels or wind turbines for businesses, or, many farmers like to use the wind turbines as well. There's an anger, a hatred towards that for whatever reason, and I just don't understand it. Again, alternative energies are going to be best done when they're done in the private sector, when people want to invest in them, and when it's going to be beneficial for them. That does not mean it's going to be beneficial for everybody, or you try and say, hey, look, we're going to do the entire city of Wichita under wind turbines. That is not feasible, and that is completely absurd and ridiculous. You don't need something like that. But there's an anger and a type of negativity against this Now, I don't know the details of why this Pretty Prairie wind farm is coming out, like whether it's for business, whether it's just to export energy throughout the area. I don't know the intent of it, but there's a group on Facebook, Stop the Pretty Prairie Wind Farm, that's come out, and they have close to 350 people liking their page, and there's a really large movement that's caused a lot of conversation about trying to block these wind farms. Now, is it because of the story that came out before saying that the humming of the wind farms and the wind turbine could potentially cause sleep apnea or cause issues or cause mental delirium or whatever the case was, which there's been no scientific basis on that in any way, shape, or form, and all the research that shows that that's actually not the case at all. But some tried to say it did. In fact, the public utility companies tried to say it did, because they don't want people using the public utilities. See, the government itself only wants you to change and adapt to something when they want you to change and adapt to something, not when you want to adapt and change to something. If they want you to go to alternative energies like Barack Obama did and said, you know what, we're just going to go all aboard on this alternative energy thing. We're going to, if you remember, we're going to invest in that alternative energy down in Silicon Valley. It's going to be great. We're going to subsidize the whole program. And it failed miserably in like a year. It was terrible. It didn't work out, but they wanted you to do it. AOC wants you to go complete 100% alternative energy. They want you to go to electric cars because that makes sense. So you can use batteries to charge it so that way you can drive and not have emissions because that's efficient. They want you to go solar panels, wind energy, all that jazz. And they want you to do it. At the same time, they don't want you to do it. They want to punish you if you put a solar panel on your home, and they tax you because of that. They want to use the alternative energy like the wind, but then they don't want you to use it because it's very bad for you, apparently. And now with one of the pieces of legislation that they tried to propose, saying that you couldn't actually have a wind turbine within like a mile of a home and 3 miles of some kind of like park or something, or fishing grounds or anything like that. I don't get it. Why? Doesn't hurt anything. Now, the Mid-America Ag Network did sit down with Nextera, who's actually funding and putting on this project, and Larry Steckline with the Mid-America Ag Network did a little vignette, a couple, a minute and a half, 2-minute reports, talking with them very briefly about this Pretty Prairie wind farm, and this is what they had to say.
Hi, everybody. It's the Mid-America Ag Network Ag Business Report with a couple of special guests today. Conlon Kennedy's with me. He's the specialist in communications for a company that many of you have heard of, but some of you probably have not. It's called NextEra Energy Resources. And friends, tell me about NextEra, Conlon. What are you doing?
Hey, Larry. Yeah, so NextEra Energy Resources, we are the world's largest generator of renewable energy from the wind and the sun. We operate more than 14,000 megawatts of wind energy from more than 9,500 wind turbines across 120 projects in 21 states and Canada.
And you're building a pretty big unit right here in the midst of Kansas. The guy that's kind of the manager of that whole project at Pretty Prairie, Kansas, is Spencer Jenkins. He's with us, too. Spencer, how's it going? Are you folks getting started there?
We have not started yet, but things are going really well, Larry. We have a permit hearing on April 4th. We are very excited, and as well as our landowners and a lot of business owners in the area.
Tell me about the landowners. They're pretty excited about this because it's a pretty nice operation for money for them.
It is, and the project itself is compatible with agricultural land use and has little impact on existing farming operations. So over the life of the project, this project will actually contribute $50 million to the local landowners through our land payment.
Wow, and the community will benefit big time from that as well.
Absolutely. We will have a positive impact on the local county economy by driving jobs, salaries, and business activities in the community.
Well, Spencer, the Pretty Prairie project, where does it stand right now?
So we are just about wrapped up with our land effort. We have our permit hearing on April 4th, hoping to start construction in mid-June. We are very excited, as well as our landowners and local business owners in the area.
I would think so. Great deal for Reno County and the Pretty Prairie area.
All right, so that was one report. The second one they did as well talked about the Pretty Prairie event and then also what's going on with some of the alternative energies.
Welcome to the Mid-America Ag Network Ag Update. Hi, everybody. Got a special guest with us today, Spencer Jenkins. He's the project manager of the big wind farm going into the Pretty Prairie area, Reno County. And we're talking about a company called NextEra Energy Resources, who has been in the business a good long time. You heard us talk about it on our last report. And Spencer, you're telling us that you're getting pretty close to starting to put up windmills in Reno County. Tell me exactly what you think about wind resource versus the stuff that we've been using for 100 years, coal, oil, and natural gas.
Absolutely. Wind is a homegrown, low-cost source of energy that helps move our country towards energy independence. It creates no greenhouse gases or other air pollutants and creates no waste byproducts. Wind energy also creates a steady and reliable source of income for landowners and communities, not susceptible to the ups and downs of commodity prices or weather.
One quick question, Spencer. If they're in pastures, if these windmills are in pastures, do they have any problems with cattle around them?
No. We operate many wind sites around cattle and on ranches and do not encounter any issues, and it is completely compatible with cattle operations.
Well, your company is one of the biggest in the nation. You're also getting involved in solar. Can you give us an update on where that stands for solar energy in the future?
Absolutely. We've known for a long time that Kansas is a great state for wind energy, and what we're seeing now is Kansas is also a great state for solar energy, and we expect solar to be a big part of the energy mix in the state in the coming years.
And are projects already underway?
Yes. NextEra Energy Resources is actively developing solar sites in the state of Kansas.
So there you go, folks. All kinds of ways that agriculture can be used to not only farm, well, maybe it is farming. It's farming energy. That's the Mid-America Report.
There it is. So that's the conversation that we had with the Mid-America Ag Network. Very interesting. I want to get your thoughts. Is it a good idea for the wind farms in the Pretty Prairie area, Reno County? Is it something you don't want to see, and why? I haven't quite understood why we don't want the alternative energies to be there. Maybe because the the use of land. I don't get it. I don't quite understand. So we'll get your thoughts on this when we come back. 316-721-8255. 17 minutes past the hour. Is it a good idea to start looking towards more of those alternative energies in Kansas, or should we re-embrace? Now, again, is it going to be forced by the government or forced by the private sector? Is that a big decision maker for you? All coming up here on the show. We'll get your thoughts on this when we come back on The Voice of Reason.
Hey, you. Thanks for checking out my video. I do appreciate the time you take out of your life to go on YouTube.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
I'll see you later.
Given all the social media scandals of the last year, it's clear that even an army of so-called moderators can't police it. They can't even keep videos as gruesome as Friday's massacre in New Zealand off their platforms. But why do the very top brass of these firms remain just as tone-deaf and uncaring as ever? Kim Commando with your Monday Consumer Tech Update, brought to you by SimpliSafe, the most innovative and comprehensive wireless protection for your home. Order yours at simplysafekim.com. If anyone tried to contact Facebook or Google's YouTube to say, hey, you have a guy in New Zealand who's globally live streaming a massacre, no one would have responded. No one ever does. More than a day passed, and the videos remained posted, even after world leaders called for their removal. Even though you and I couldn't get through to moderators, Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg or Susan Wojcicki, YouTube's CEO, could have, but they didn't. And yet again, Facebook and YouTube have failed the entire world. I'm Kim Commando. Kids today live online, and they don't always understand its inherent dangers or that their actions can follow them for the rest of their lives. As a parent, it's your job to supervise and protect them, which is why I want to tell you about Web Watcher, the award-winning parental monitoring app that helps you keep your kids safe. Web Watcher records all key cell phone and computer activity, including texts, photos, call logs, location, web history, apps used, and social media activity, and sends it all to a secure online account. All recorded data is then scanned for risky behavior using intelligent filters, so you can focus on what's important while still respecting your kids' privacy. Of course, all the data is there if you need it. Please go to webwatcher.com/Kim, select Add to Cart, and enter promo code Kim at checkout for a 50% off an annual Web Watcher subscription. Again, that's webwatcher.com/Kim, select Add to Cart, and enter promo code Kim at checkout.
Coming spring 2019. Hail.
Ouch. Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
Send your taste buds on an exciting flavor vacation at Hurricane Sports Grill. Indulge in Hurricane's made-to-order jumbo chicken wings with 35 fabulous sauces from our sauce bar, half-pound burgers, and savory tacos. With 20 beers on tap, including local crafts or your choice of Hurricane specialty cocktails, come and enjoy your favorite sport on any of our 30 TVs or call ahead for carry-out game day platters. Don't forget Hurricane's daily specials, including Monday's all-you-can-eat chicken wings. Hurricane Sports Grill, a fun-filled, family-friendly environment at 13th and Tyler.
The Miller Minute with Dennis Miller.
Want to talk about mob hits? There was one last week. I haven't heard of one in ages. It seems like Japan, as far as their economy went, had the last decade. It seems like mob hits fell out of favor, or at least big ones, over the last decade or so. It reminded me, when I was first on Saturday Night Live, I think it was on my first show, one of my first jokes was about a mob hit. A man named Paul Castellano had been shot outside the Sparks Steakhouse. And it was so important to me to get a first big laugh like that, I remember the joke. Picture of Castellano laying in the gutter. He's been shot in the head. Well, Paul Castellano was let go by the parent company this week. The abrupt dismissal took place outside the Sparks Steakhouse on Manhattan's Lower East Side. That's the Sparks Steakhouse, where beef is the specialty of the house, but occasionally you'll hear the word duck bandied about. And that's the minute. I'm Dennis Miller.
Some job recruitment sites overload your inbox with resumes. Glassdoor knows not just any will do. From 62 million job seekers, Glassdoor only matches you with qualified candidates who have the skills and experience your small business needs to grow. In fact, Glassdoor hires are 30% more likely to stay with your company longer, and Glassdoor can help you find that perfect candidate in half the resumes. Go to glassdoor.com/hire. Glassdoor. Find the right fit for your business.
Where there's a will, there's a way. If you're good, it's usually your way. Introducing the most luxurious Ram 1500 ever, the all-new Ram 1500 Limited. With the only 12-inch touchscreen media center in a truck and over 100 available safety and security features. Good things come to those who are on to bigger things. Ram, built to serve. When properly equipped, Ram is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Stay tuned for the latest news all day right here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
23 minutes past the hour. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you along for the ride today. It is a Monday, which means it's kind of a great day for America. What do you say, baby? 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. So here's some details on the NextEra wind field farm that they're building, and I want to get your thoughts whether you agree with this or disagree with it. If you live in the area or if you live near other wind farms as well or wind turbines, do you support this kind of idea? A 21-page application was sent in, costing close to $300 million to build. That's economic incentive right there to build this thing. It's going to be 81 wind turbines and producing a buttload of energy. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Now, I don't know. Maybe because there's so many of them, the fact that it's just going to be a lot. Here's the thing. Most of these and a lot of these will be in zoned county areas. Some of them are going to be unzoned areas, and maybe that's where the concern is for the zoning areas of maybe residential areas where they're going to see wind turbines back there. Is it going to change the landscape? Is it going to change property values? Is it going to be a nuisance to people? I don't know that it would, but would you? Because this almost seems to me like it's coming down like the chicken plant, the Tyson plant that we were looking at in the county, and people wanted the economic incentive to some degree, but at the same time, they didn't want it in their backyard. They didn't want the resources being stressed for the water in the area. They didn't want the noise. They didn't want the smell. Is that the reason why some people are against this wind farm in Pretty Prairie? Is it just, a buttload of different wind turbines all over the place? You're like, I don't know if that's going to look very nice. Don't know if it's going to look very nice. Again, now, I'm not all on board of, hey, let's all get on board for alternative energies. But I am on board that if a private company wants to do something that's going to be an economic incentive for the community and people can benefit from it, why not? Why not? And it's done in the private manner. It's not done based on the public services, not based on the social welfare. It's not based on the government subsidies. It's not based on all this other garbage. It's done privately, and I'm all good with it. Why not try this stuff? We need to have a variety. And especially as you could see last week with the amount of wind that we have in Kansas, I would say that wind farms would probably be a smart thing to have. What do you think? I don't know. I could be wrong on that, which is why I want to hear from you at 316-721-8255. Much of the land is farmland held to trustees. The company also approved a list of non-participating landowners who have land within 1,000 feet of land NextEra contracts with, who must be notified of the public hearing on the company's condition use permit application, which is going to be April 4th, which is what they talked about in the interview. And as they go about, this is maybe part of the issue, is the farmland that it will be on. Now, will this affect animals? No. But if you're lotting off certain areas to where maybe you grow things in the field, maybe that's taken away some of the crop opportunity for farmers. Maybe. I'm trying to think of every possible reason why this would not be beneficial, and I could see that, but I don't know how much land that actually consumes. And you can obviously farm around it as well. I mean, we have radio towers that are in the middle of fields as well that have very little effect on the actual farming. You just lose, just a little bit of land where you just have the tower built. That's it. So I don't know why there would be some type of hiccup, but apparently there's a really big message to stop this. Over 350 people on Facebook trying to block this thing with the Stop the Pretty Prairie Wind Farm. And I'm trying to see if I can find maybe the message for it or the reasoning or the mission statement or something, because I don't see it. I just don't see it, and I don't get it. 316-721-8255. Bottom of the hour news coming up. When we come back, I want to shift gears a little bit to the proof of citizenship voting laws. As you know, the triage of attacks here in Kansas. First, they want to give illegal aliens the driver's license to drive. Then they want to say that when you go to the DMV that you automatically get registered to vote. And now they want 16-year-olds to vote nationally. They want the proof of citizenship to go away here in Kansas, and then just make it easier and easier. I'm sensing desperation for a new voter base. What do you think? Maybe just a little bit. So we have that going on, which is going to be kind of fun. Plus, new individuals jumping into the Democrat race at the federal level. Is that an issue, or is it just going to be more entertaining? Because now Beto O'Rourke coming out with some hiccups and apologizing on the campaign trail instead of just standing firm saying, it's a joke! Why we're criticizing him for some of the comments that he made, not quite sure. I think it's a little dumb, but he already is bowing down and apologizing for a joke that he apparently made, and people upset about his joke, so that's kind of funny. Then you have a new Democrat jumping into the race as well. We have progressives going farther and farther to the extreme and blaming the NRA for the shooting that happened down in New Zealand. That's comical as well. So I think the world's just gone nuts. That's my statement. I observed over the weekend. I did the parade for the St. Patrick's Day parade, which was a lot of fun. It's always a great time, but then just kind of people watching and observing. And during the weekend, when you try and just digress and just try and take things with a grain of salt, and you just sit back and try to enjoy a little bit, you just think, and you're like, wow, people are absolutely nuts. And that's really true, isn't it? There's not sometimes you just can't bring sense into the world. We try and do it. We're the activists. We're the catalysts. We're the ones that try and actually bring reason and common sense back into the discussion. But sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just can't. Like people hating the fact that we want alternative energy, but we don't want the alternative energy. We want green changes, but we don't want green changes. And I'm not talking about St. Patrick's Day. We want things to happen, but we don't want things to happen. And we're so desperate, we just better bring in the new voter base, lowering the age of 16. I really hope they allow 16-year-olds to buy guns, too, right? That's not going to happen. We got some calls on the line. We'll open up line and see you as soon as we come back. Bottom of the hour news. This is the Voice of Reason.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
We have had 2 fatalities of people who were lost and washed away in the water, and we've got 1 person missing we still haven't found yet.
Governor Pete Ricketts of Nebraska, where flooding has engulfed the state and is expected to continue for days. Towns along the Missouri and Mississippi rivers are under flood advisories. German police have upped surveillance on the country's border with the Netherlands and are on the lookout for the gunman behind a shooting in the Dutch city of Utrecht.
Whoever committed this crime is still at large, and an increasingly large manhunt is now underway here in Utrecht. But the police won't confirm whether it's 1, 2, or 3 people that they're looking for.
There's Richard Quest. Pakistan's flag flies at half-staff. Pakistanis are observing a day of mourning to remember victims of the New Zealand mosque attacks. 9 Pakistanis were among the 50 people killed when the attacker opened fire at 2 mosques in Christchurch. I'm John Trout.
Rolaids presents The Heartburn Blues.
So the kids decided to cut their own hair today. And somebody's ink pen exploded in the wash. And family fajita night left me with the heartburn blues. But Rolaids made it all fine.
Rolaids starts working as fast as now, so you can take control of even your worst heartburn. Get your groove back with Rolaids. Refers to acid neutralization. Use as directed.
And now, the worst commercial ever.
Say, Jan, as a fellow respected small business professional, I wonder, who do you use for commercial auto and business insurance?
Progressive, of course. They helped with a customized insurance solution for my busy florist company.
I'm so glad we had this chance encounter in this busy restaurant.
Yes, that fake conversation was brutal. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. It's affiliated and third-party insurers.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Monday. An appeals court will consider the constitutionality of a struck-down Kansas statute that had required people to provide documents proving U.S. citizenship before they could register to vote. A 3-judge panel of the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals will hear arguments today in Salt Lake City in a case with national implications for voting rights. At issue is a challenge to a voter registration statute requiring people to provide documentary proof of citizenship, such as a birth certificate. The Kansas Department of Transportation says an employee who called the president a delusional communist in a tweet is no longer employed with the agency. KDOT's statement said that the tweet has been deleted. The person who made it no longer works for the Kansas Department of Transportation, and the communication does not reflect the views of the agency or administration. Mid-America Network News. The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. And for those of you who are not do-it-yourselfers, the Laundry Station's premium wash-dry fold service allows you to drop off and pick up your laundry the same day in most cases. Conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com.
Howdy, partner. You should join me and my fellow cattlemen in the seats at the 24th Annual Mid-Kansas Angus Breeders Production Sale, Wednesday, March 20th in La Crosse, Kansas. Selling 32 yearling and 9 older bulls, 14 purebred yearling heifers this year, along with 14 2- to 4-year-old pairs and bred cows. No glitter, no smoke with these area Angus breeders, just good, honest cattle for the cowman. See videos at midkab.com. The 24th Annual Mid-Kansas Angus Breeders Production Sale, La Crosse Livestock Market, March 20th, 1 p.m.
It's an inventory reduction blowout sale at Derby Mattress. Sharon at Derby Mattress says the Serta models from last year have to go to make room for new inventory arriving soon. Drastic reductions in last year's Serta models and floor models that need to move. Derby Mattress at 105 South Baltimore in Derby, home of hassle-free mattress shopping, locally owned and family owned. Derby Mattress.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, mostly sunny and 60, mostly cloudy and 41 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and 58, rain likely mainly after lunch. 30% chance of rain for tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 37. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:35, it's currently 37 degrees.
Alex Jones, Sunday evenings 5 to 7 on the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM. Wichita's fastest growing radio show.
Something big is going on, and the American people need to know what.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Yeah, that's kind of how we roll. 36 minutes past the hour as we wrap up the show today on a Monday morning. I do love this tweet that came out from the Kansas Department of Transportation about Donald Trump, you're a communist. Oh, man. Apparently we have zero clue about what communism actually is, but you're not just that, but you're a delusional communist. You're a delusional communist. You know it's communist countries that try to control media, right? Like Donald Trump's trying to, like he could control them if he wanted to. Not that he even wants to. All he wants to just make sure that they actually don't say stupid things and attack him for ridiculous, stupid reasons. So I'm just saying, hey, I don't know. Welcome in, 316-721-8255. A couple emails on the green energy and the windmills. Most green energy plants require the peaker units that can be brought online when wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine. That is very true. Does that mean that it's not ready to be done yet, or does that mean that we still just have some work to do and we shouldn't make it as like oh, hey, the entire city or county is going to be dependent on these things and the rates are really going to go up because it's just not efficient? Or, hey, you know what? I think we're just going to throw some out there and see how much it actually helps out the community. I got no problem with alternative energies if it's done smartly. It's just when we force the market to go that way and then we see rates go up and we see inefficiencies and we see grayouts and blackouts and all this other garbage because, well, we thought it was going to be a good idea because just like other issues, we jump into it real too quick and we don't actually plan it out appropriately to make it run smoothly. Your thoughts? It's open lines. We got some calls on the line, so let's go right to them, shall we? Line number 1. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Fred, Andy.
Hey, good morning, Fred. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Good.
You know, the peaker units, the thing is you're essentially building two generating systems whenever you do this because they have to do that to balance load. So it's expensive.
Sure.
But another, setting that aside, each wind turbine kills hundreds of birds, and some of them kill thousands.
Sure.
So, you know, you're killing a lot of birds off. I don't know if that's a problem for people, but if it is, something that we've seen where wind turbines have been in use out in California for decades is the decommissioning of wind turbines.
Mm-hmm.
They wear out, they become inefficient, and they stop being maintained. Is there a plan for decommissioning on these? And I don't have a dog in the hunt. I don't live up there in Pretty Prairie, but
sure.
What happened out there in California is these companies just walked away, you know, with these little half-megawatt wind turbines that are built. If you drive from out around Palm Springs, there's a bunch of them.
Sure.
And just hundreds of them, or thousands maybe. And then they just sit there, and you know, they're just a blight on the view because no one wants to pay to get rid of them or replace them. And then the other thing is that, so that's a future generation problem. And then there's a maintenance mess, which can be handled with proper management. But these things have a lot of oil in them. They're like liquid cooled and all that. The big ones are. Sure. And if they lose a seal, they spew hundreds of gallons of oil out all over the ground. And if you go out around Greensburg, and you'll see a lot of them around the base, it looks like somebody dumped a barrel of oil. And, so that's a mess. Now, that can be dealt with proper management and maintenance.
Sure. That's some interesting concerns, and I'm glad you brought them up. And again, I think that validates the idea of us not forcing a market to go into it and saying, oh, yeah, you know what, we're going to go all of Sedgwick County and Reno County. We're just going to get rid of electricity and Westar Energy, and we're going to make Westar partner up with this wind turbine thing, and we're just going to – and that kind of idea is silly. I don't know, but if a company like this says, you know what, we're going to put 81 different wind turbines out here, and it's going to generate some electricity, and we're going to take care of these things, and if it's done in that sense of just, hey, we want to try and utilize the space and the opportunity that we have to invest some money into the community and to put these out there, I don't know if that's a bad thing. Now, you're right. I mean, if it's an animal concern with the birds, we can look at that. If it is leaking because they're not maintained properly, then that could be a concern as well. And then, yeah, I mean, decommissioning them, I think that goes along with just about anything from a vehicle to, even in a coal plant that they get decommissioned, they run out. We got to update them and keep the latest versions of them, and we got to have a plan to do that rather than just say, well, that was nice while it lasted. Now we're just going to let them sit there and be old antique-looking things out in the middle of the farm.
Yeah, and the last thing, the overriding issue that I have with all this green energy is the high cost. We have virtually the highest electric rates of any state in the area.
Sure.
And there's many, this has been published. And it's primarily because we bought into all this green energy under Obama, or Westar did, and we're paying rates that are significantly higher than most of the rest of the country. And frankly, I'm tired of this, the high taxes, all this, it's not necessary. It's because we have poor regulation or little regulation of the utilities.
Sure.
And we have a state government that doesn't care about us, in my opinion. So anyway, I appreciate the time, Andy.
Hey, appreciate it very much. No, great, excellent points. I really appreciate that. It's great insight to it. And you're right. I mean, the electric rates are ridiculously high in Kansas, and thanks to them partnering up with the Obamacare garbage, or at least not with Obamacare, but with just Barack Obama's policy, the green energy deals that he tried to push during that time that really did raise a lot of the rates because they were trying to markedly price people out of the market. They wanted people to say, you know what, it's crazy expensive as it was for the alternative energy, solar panel, wind energy, all that other stuff. We're going to make that more viable by jacking up the price of the other stuff that you're using, so that way you can really consider, which one do I want to do? Am I going to get off the grid and go alternative, or am I going to do something with the utility companies? And they love that. That's why they're trying to pass that initiative here to where if you have a solar panel on your home, then you're going to get a higher rate for what electricity you do use because you have to pay your fair share. They love that idea of dominance and control, kind of like the Obamacare option is, you know what, if you want to keep your doctor, you can keep your doctor, but we're just going to price you out of the market. And we're going to do that because we're the government. We have the opportunity to do so. The private or the public utility companies are recognizing that scheme, and they're using the same thing. So that's why I'm all for this stuff if it's done on the private level and it's not a mandatory thing of 100% dependency, but it's going to be a supplement that we just choose to do on the private side. Then I say all the power to you. Let's go back to it. Line number 2. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Ray.
Hey, good morning, Ray. How we doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hey, you have to have coal-fired power plants to back up the windmills.
Sure.
They burn at 80% while the windmills are running, and then when the wind stops, they go up to 100%. So you're still burning all this coal. They've got the cart before the horse. They don't have any storage for the electricity. On the
that's
other
a big
hand,
problem. If we do use it, we don't even have storage to store it away, do we?
No, we don't. We've got to turn on. We've got to. The coal-fired power plants are still running. They haven't fixed a thing, not a thing. And then on the federal level, bald eagles are protected. If I shoot one, I go to jail. If I put up a wind turbine and I kill a bald eagle, I am federally protected, and it is okay.
I sense some new bird hunters. Yeah, new bird hunters coming out and building wind turbines.
Well, just stand around and collect feathers.
Hey, you know what? You drink beer and collect feathers. What do you say? Hey, what are you doing today? I'm going bird hunting. I'm sitting by my windmill.
You're darn right, man. Ever made.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. Hey, appreciate the cover. I could see that, too. You know what? That's going to be a new Facebook meme right there. What are you doing this weekend? I'm going bird hunting. Oh, cool. All right. You want me to grab my shotgun? We're going duck hunting or something? No, I'm going to sit by my wind turbine and drink beer. Oh, okay. What is that for? Well, when I get a bird, I'm going to cook it for dinner. I love it. Appreciate it. Let's go back to it here, shall we? Line number 3. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Martin.
Hey, good morning, Martin. How are we doing, sir?
Good. Regarding the wind turbines, you know, it's called Pretty Prairie. How pretty is it going to be when it's festooned with spinning whirligigs?
Well, and that may be a lot of the concern why people don't like it is just because, you know, it's going to obstruct a lot of the views. It's going to be out in the middle of the field, and you're going to see 81 different wind turbines, which could look like a cluster at some point.
Oh, even Ted Kennedy, not that I've got anything good to say about him, but they were going to put some in the sound out front of his beach house, and he wouldn't have it because he didn't want to look out over the ocean and see the damn windmills out there churning.
Sure. That's an interesting point.
Anyway, all I got.
Hey, I appreciate the phone call very much. No, and I think that's what a lot of people say. I don't know about the health benefits or the health factors that they said that the wind turbine with the humming of it would cause amnesia or would cause any sleep deprivation or cause delirium or anything like that. That's unproven. That's really not true. But maybe it's just because, hey, you know what? We got a beautiful farm here. We got open fields, and we just don't want to see all these wind turbines here, and that could be a big thing. I don't know. We got some other calls on the line. Stay here. We got to take a break real quick. We'll get your phone calls continuation. Do you like this idea? Is it economic incentive for the community with $300 million being invested to build it with the energy that would be produced outside of this as well with 81 turbines, or is it just not worth it because of the view, because of the harm to the birds potentially, where my dinner could potentially be, or is there some other reason why you wouldn't be a fan of the 81 wind turbines with the Pretty Prairie Wind Farm? Your thoughts on that? We got all the lines lit up. We'll get to you as soon as we come back right here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. Opening markets on KQAM. Brought to you by Schmidt & Sons of Mount Hope and Winfield.
Genuine starts here. This is Leroy, the tractor man from Schmidt & Sons, and there's one easy way to keep your AGCO equipment productive all year with genuine preventive maintenance from AGCO Parts. When you check, change, or replace using AGCO Parts preventive maintenance products, you get the promise of maximum performance and increased uptime. And now, until March 31st, you'll save 10% on select AGCO Parts preventive maintenance products like oil, filters, belts, bearings, and so much more. It's also time for our Customer Appreciation Days at Schmidt & Sons, and we have a special invitation just for you. Join us on Tuesday, March 26th at our Winfield location and on Wednesday, March 27th at our Mount Hope location. You can take advantage of exclusive parts discounts on most parts, 180 days, no interest with no payments on qualifying part purchases with AGCO Plus and a complimentary lunch. Find out all about the latest products for your farm and visit with our knowledgeable staff. For complete details, go to our website at schmitting.com. We are looking forward to seeing you.
You can find out why Pizza John's is the choice for pizza in Derby for over 44 years. Pizza John's in Derby, the original purveyors of round meals and flat snacks, is more than just pizza. Lunches include salads, spaghetti complete with garlic bread, and Pizza John's of Derby is the hoagie headquarters of South Central Kansas. Dine in or carry out. Delivery after 5 p.m. by simply calling 788-2011 or quick and easy online at pizzajohnsderby.com. Pizza John's.
Peter Graves, who played James Phelps on Mission Impossible, was born this day.
In one episode, he was given a dangerous assignment.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps.
Your mission, should you decide to accept,
is to enter our agency leader's private residence,
where you will find blinking digital clocks
due to a recent storm-related power failure.
While only off for 9 hours and 15 minutes.
Your mission is to determine if the power was off long enough for any frozen foods to thaw.
Do this by looking in the freezer compartment,
where you will find a copper penny
that was placed on top of an ice cube. food.
If it's still on top, the freezer stayed cold.
And the food therein remained frozen.
However, should the penny be below the ice,
it signifies thawing and likely food contamination.
In addition, you must avoid the two vicious Doberman Pinscher guard dogs.
As always, should you be discovered,
we will disavow any knowledge of your actions.
This tape will self-destruct in exactly 3 seconds. Good luck.
For more tips, visit our website at onthehouse.com.
Did you know your concrete porch and steps, patio, pool deck, garage floor, even your ugly laminate countertops can be resurfaced with real stone as easily as painting? I'm Peter Deitch, president of Deitch Coatings, and I'm here to say you can. Tastefully accent surfaces all around your home with just a roller and a brush to achieve beautiful, high-performance stone finishes that last. Why wait? Deitch Coatings are available to you factory direct and online at homedepot.com. Plan your next project at deitchcoatings.com. That's D-A-I-C-H coatings.com.
The Gallagher Army gathers here. Mike Gallagher on the Big Talker, KQAM, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM.
You know, we might have to do this topic as they pass it or exit on a Friday. Very interesting. We're getting some pros and cons on both sides of it. Some people saying, yeah, why not? It's a great investment for the community. A lot of money coming in. Others saying, yeah, you know, I really don't want to look at it. And we still have to use the energy, the coal energy as well, to power the windmill when there's no wind, which I get. And again, I'm not saying that there's wind energy that's efficient in any way, shape, or form as of yet, but I'd rather have it be done on the private side to continue to evolve that technology as opposed to the government forcing it based on subsidies where it just fails anyways. That's why the Silicon Valley ones are like, yeah, we're done with this. But if the private sector wants to invest in it and try and make it more efficient and make it better for us to work on it down the road and use it with a little bit we can, why not? I got no problem with that. Your thoughts on it? Let's continue on as the phones are lit up. 316-721-8255. 10 minutes to the top of the hour here on The Voice of Reason. Line number 1. Good morning. Who's this? Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how we doing?
Hey, Andy, it's me again.
Hey, what's going on?
I just had to make.
Yeah.
I had to make a quick comment on this.
Okay.
You know, they tried this over in the Netherlands several years ago. Memory serves, trying to convert their country to wind power, and for every job that industry created, 2 other jobs were lost in other areas of the economy. So it damaged their economy. They abandoned the concept, and they left these turbines standing.
Right, but it was more, again, of a forceful government thing saying we're going to – that's like Obama trying to kill the coal energy, saying we're going to get rid of all these coal workers and we're going to make them start working on wind turbines, which is not going to work. You have to let that evolve naturally as opposed to a forceful thing.
Well, I'm opposed to it altogether. I happen to like oil and coal. I like the stuff that God gave us in nature in order to provide us with energy and advance our lives and whatnot. But now, just these things take up land that you can use to build homes on, or graze cattle, or grow crops. It would take something like 300 wind turbines alone to power New York City,
right?
And that would take up
more than that, yeah.
5 square miles of land. That was some figures I heard a few years ago. 5 square miles of land to plant 300 wind turbines on,
right? Just
to provide, each one providing 4 megawatts of power to power just New York City alone. So
and that's why I think this idea of forceful government saying, you know what, the city of Wichita, we're going to get rid of your electric grid and we're going to put up wind turbines in order to power the entire city. That's a really dumb and bad idea. I don't like that idea. But I think there's a big difference between that and a private company that's saying, you know what, we're going to invest some money into wind turbines in the area. It's going to help out with a little electricity out there. We're going to continue to evolve this technology. We're going to sink some money into it with jobs creating these things, and it's going to be a great investment for the area. I think that's a different story. And if it helps out with 10% of the electricity for the area, then that's cool. If it helps out with 50%, then that's awesome. That's great. But it wasn't a forceful thing by the government. It was just the private industry saying, let's try something a little different here.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the one hand, I agree. If you want to put a solar panel on the roof of your house,
right,
that's fine with me. But if you want to use up massive amounts of land to put solar panels up there that are going to wear out. They're going to get beat to death by the weather and the sun in the summertime.
Sure.
And then you got all of these hundreds of wind turbines up, and they're killing birds, including birds that are on the endangered species list, leaking oil on the ground because they do have metal parts. They do got to use lube, and that's oil, and rubber seals go bad. And they start leaking oil, and then you got a mess. And yeah, it can be cleaned up, but you wouldn't have to spend the money to clean up a mess. You could have avoided it in the first place. You didn't have all these ugly wind turbines up there destroying the landscape, because they will damage the landscape. They will alter it almost permanently.
Come on, Sean. I want my dinner from the bird that gets hit by the wind turbine. Come on, man.
Well, like that other guy said, he could go to jail for shooting a bald eagle, but if his wind turbine in his backyard kills a bald eagle, he's free and clear, because that was the wind turbine that did it.
Sure.
He just collect the feathers and drink his beer and whatnot, and so. But I like my steak too, but I would rather have my steak, grilled on the grill using Kingsford chunks of coal, than have it. Use something that requires a wind turbine, to fry my steak. Forget that.
Very interesting.
So,
all right, Sean.
Man.
Hey, appreciate it very much. Very interesting comments there. A lot of people being a little cautious, a little concerned about this. And again, a difference between government forcefulness, government subsidies, and a company wanting to invest in there, bringing money in and do it. I don't know. Is it efficient? Is it worth it? Would you like to see it in your backyard? If you looked out and you saw the wind turbines, 81 of them for this project, for the Pretty Prairie thing, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I like it. 316-721-8255. Let's go back to it here. Line number 3. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Andy. It's Sue.
Good morning, Sue. How are you today?
I'm okay.
Good.
I do have a little beef with you, though.
Okay.
I would like for you to stop saying that there is no proof and no way that the sound from these things is bothering anybody or interfering with their health. Because not only have I read a lot of things about that, but just an anecdotal story, which is along the same lines.
Mm-hmm.
We live down by the Garvey elevator. We live a few miles from the Garvey elevator, which is at 55th and Hoover.
Okay.
It's not Garvey anymore, but I say that because people will have a point of reference. They'll know what I'm talking about. They, for the last few years, have been running a fan at certain times of the year out there.
Okay.
And I know what they're doing. They're doing it to keep the dust down so that they don't have another explosion from static electricity, okay? But when the wind is blowing from the south, the sound of the humming of that fan can be heard over everything in my house. And it doesn't keep my husband awake all night because nothing keeps my husband awake. But it keeps me awake all night.
Interesting.
And so I'm just giving you a little idea.
So you have seen effects from there, because I was reading in the way, the reason I referenced that was that there was a PBS report that came out of 25 different peer-reviewed studies where they looked at dizziness, blood pressure, sleeping, nausea, sleeping disorders, hearing loss, so on and so forth, of 25 different peer-reviewed studies, and they found that from wind turbines that there was no risk of human health from any of these peer-reviewed studies that they did, trying to find if the wind turbine actually did anything. And they said that they came out with the conclusion that they didn't have any type of health risk come out of that at all for the end result.
Well, part of the problem is that I don't know how they're doing these studies, but it would probably need to be a fairly long-term study.
Okay.
Because if you're living near an array of these things and you do have a constant hum, that it might take a period of time of having that wearing on your nerves, interfering with your sleep, things like that, where it would finally take a toll long term on certain aspects of your health. And I can only tell you the things that I have read about some of these stories where people live close to them, and people that even have one in their own backyard that they put up that they end up taking down because it's so bothersome to them. But there are people out here, and we may be the minority, but, if it's basically driving you crazy, listening to the thing and having that constant hum in the background of your life every time you're at home.
I think it's kind of like a train track thing, where some people really enjoy the sound of the train coming through at 2 a.m, and others can't stand it when the rattling in the house and the train horn blows going through the crossway there. I think you're right, because I would think about it, and I kind of like noises like that, like the white noise and stuff, so maybe I could sleep better in that situation, and maybe some others would be like, oh my gosh, that's the most annoying thing I've ever heard in my life, and I can't sleep because of it. So you're right. I think there would be some different takes on how people adjust to having a hum in the back with a wind turbine back there. Right,
and it would be something that really, for the most part, never goes away. Unlike the train,
sure,
it's going to come and go, and I've lived near train tracks, and, yeah. But with this hum deal we're talking about, it would be really constant. Sure. And I think there's going to be a segment of the populace that it is going to impact and cause a problem for. So even though it may be the minority, I just cringe every time you say that there's no proof anybody ever had any problem from the sound, because I just think that,
Sure.
There definitely is something there if you dig a little bit deeper.
I love it. Hey, I appreciate the phone call. No, you're right. I think that people could, some could adjust and some couldn't. Very interesting. We'll continue this conversation as it gets closer with this conversation. Everybody have a great Monday today.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM. Wichita proud. It's time for the latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by The Laundry Station, Kansas's premier laundry services provider in the Wichita area. Centrally located on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station.
Good Monday morning. Wichita authorities say 2 pedestrians were struck by a vehicle Saturday night in Wichita. The incident occurred around 10 o'clock.
The Laundry Station.
100 block of West Douglas near the Shamrock Lounge.